Let's see what is going to happen as the drivers prepare to do battle at Mount Panorama. And here is how the grid lines up ahead of the 22-lap strong race. Pole position, Ganasa Kawakami for Lexus, putting a great lap time right at the end of the session. His compatriot and former world champion Takuma Miyazono for Subaru is alongside. Then it's Ryota Kokuman for Mazda heading row 2 with Nabatani for company. Next up is Tomoaki Yamanaka, a stalwart of the championship in the Toyota. He's got Lucas Pinelli in the Mercedes AMG for company. Then Saya Suzuki, Sasaki in the Genesis alongside. Next up is Sato in the Audi, not a particularly brilliant qualifying for them, but the big shock is Ferrari, winners last time out, only 10th on the grid for this one, and championship leaders Porsche, down in 11th place with Artemosso making a mistake on his lap. Gotto completes the 12th driver strong field. As we said, 3 different types of tyre compound available to the drivers. Kanata Kawakami here, Jimmy, going on the soft early, seems like he wants to get away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, that is the strategy if you're out front. Use the soft, use that clean air and just try and drive into it. The thing is, because no one's challenging him on that stint, no one's challenging him on the soft tyre there, that's going to be, he's going to be very happy to see that, because it means he can just use that tyre to the best of its ability. Miyazono, the opposite strategy behind for Team Subaru, going for that hard tyre, as does Kokuman. So they're going to be the cork in the bottle for the guys in the mediums behind on that first lap over the mountain.
Certainly are. So coming through Murray's corner, the final turn of this Mount Panorama circuit, drivers are in place. There's Artemosso. He's got the weight of the world on his shoulders to try and hold on to Porsche for their championship lead. We're about ready to go racing then, as the grand final of the Manufacturers' Cup is about to go green here at Mount Panorama. Action is about to begin. World Series 3 here in Tokyo is underway. Kawakami leads the field down towards the first corner, followed by Miyazono and Kokuman. Through Hell Corner we go. On the run, up the mountain straight and in towards the mountain section we go for the first timer. Start there, of course, which is spreading the field out courtesy of the rolling start, meaning that we shouldn't see too much action in the first couple of corners, but as we come over the crest of the hill and it begins to tighten up as we head through in towards Griffin's Bend, that's where we'll see drivers getting very close to one another and maybe trying to launch a move before we go into the one-at-a-time section.
I say that already. Look at the gap between Kawakami and Kokuman, who's got through past Miyazono. They're really struggling for speed on that first lap, dropping down from P2 to P4. Kokuman out in front now on that hard tyre. Nabatani, the first of the medium runners, eager to get through as well. But look at the gap, 2 seconds already to Kawakami out front. This is exactly what he wanted.
Amazing start there from Kanata Kawakami. You can see here Kokuman, he's going to be a bit of a cork in the bottle. Nabatani's on the medium tyres, so though they're not the fastest compound, they will be that bit quicker than Kokuman. Miyazono also on the hard tyres, struggling to get them up to temperature in the first few corners. Keep an eye out also for Yamanaka in the Toyota Supra. There is Kawakami pulling out nearly 3 seconds by not even the end of the first lap. Through the Forest Elbow we go and down the Conrod Straight for the first time, and you can see how nose to tail it is throughout the rest of the field. Down the Conrod Straight we go. This is where we'll see the slipstream coming into effect, and where we should see the medium shot runners breezing past the hard shot runners. Here is Yamanaka on the back of Miyazono. That Subaru's not ever been particularly quick in a straight line. Miyazono in the Toyota draws alongside his compatriot and goes through into 4th position before we've even reached the end of the straight and in towards the chase. Oh, and wide there as well for the Honda of Nabatani. Kokuman ready to try and take profit of it, but Nabatani just about manages to hold firm in second for now.
4 seconds is a gap on lap 1. Kawakami's just gone, oh mate, I'm going to win this here. He's just left the field behind. Obviously, long race yet to go, but that's about as good a start as you can have, I think. Meanwhile, the battle for second and the rest of the hard and medium runners are pretty much all stuck together as we come onto Mountain Straight for the second time now. So we get to see the straight line speed of the cars win. I think take a drink for every time we said that Subaru's going to struggle with a straight line, because that's going to be a big factor in this race.
It certainly is, and I tell you what, not a particularly brilliant start for the likes of Mosso and Hashima. They're still 10th and 11th as Yamanaka breezes past Miyazono heading in towards Griffin's Bend.
What can you do?
No, absolutely nothing. That's it. He's just a sitting duck at this point, isn't he? So Kawakami here, he's trying to break away from the rest of the field, isn't he? Well, he's already done that, 4.1 seconds. I think he's trying to channel his inner Igor Fraga. If you remember, what Igor loves to do is lead from the front, doesn't he? Doesn't like to get bothered by anything behind, and, well, he's clear as makes no difference from the rest of the field. He's not going to be bothered at all, is he?
Yeah, we had Igor Fraga here at our lovely venue, hyping up Kawakami before the race up on stage, so maybe those words helping out a little bit, of course. Here are drivers that you see in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen all soaring away at the wheel. It's hard work this on the sim. You wouldn't think it is, but you can really work up a sweat trying to hustle these cars over the mountain here as they'll come down one at a time. A replay now. This is Kokoburg and Navatani. I think this is the overtake we saw earlier. It seemed a bit rough from the replay. Let's see it again. He was through there, but I think he overshot it, as you said. They went a bit wide. Kokoburg tried to come back, and looks like they just about avoided contact there. Very nice, clean driving, but Navatani sending it like a ball into that left hand.
Yeah, fantastic oversight from Navatani to be able to hold that one going through that chicane. You can see, meanwhile, further back, as I said, Mosso and Hashima not making the progress that they would have wanted to. I wonder, and I'm not a strategist or a racing driver by any stretch of the imagination compared to these drivers, but if you're looking at Mosso and Hashima, surely I'd have thought that the sensible money would be to get onto a quicker compound tyre and go and make as much progress up through the field as you can, as we see Miyazono getting off the hard tyre at the end of lap 3.
Well, Miyazono there opting, as you say, just to box and get off that tyre. It's always been the way of these events that the hard tyre is kind of just lava. You don't want to be on it at all. But it's one of those things where you want to try and do that in a good spot in the race. So when you do go onto a faster compound tyre, we're about to see what Miyazono and Suzuki are going to bolt on a fresh set of Michelin tyres. Not quite sure what the compound's going to be just yet. Still waiting for them to make their way to that pit box. There is Miyazono. So what's he gone for? Soft tyres. Okay, that is an interesting strategy. So what he's done there is giving himself a massive amount of space. So there's no one in front of him now. And now he can just try and hot lap, because he knows if he's racing other cars, they get in the draft, he can't keep them behind him. So he's going to try and basically gain time this one.
That's going to worry too much about Suzuki as well, because Suzuki, though he's come out relatively close from on circuit, he's on the medium compound of time. Now let's have a look here at Cockburn versus Yamanaka up the mountain straight. This is for third position then, so side by side these two drivers going. Yamanaka just breezing past once again, and also Benelli getting overtaken there by the Audi of Sato, so that's up into fifth position as well. Now the field beginning to spread out a little bit. You can see the medium shot runners breaking away a little bit from the hard shot runners, aside from Cockburn, who's still got Sato all over his rear wing.
Yeah, good fight here for fourth place between Mazda and Audi. Interesting, the gap to the front of Kawakami. Oh, Sato much quicker on exit there, runs into the back of Kokoburg. That's about as rude a hurry up as you can get there from the Audi driver, and now they're going to be drafting down the straight. Look at the bump I saw down there. Looks like they're maybe using the old stock car tactics there, trying to gain a bit of time on the cars in front. Will Sato go for the move? They go, look at the mirror too, Benelli's there. So up the inside goes Sato, up into fourth place. Does he yet? Kokoburg runs a little bit wide. Can Benelli take advantage of that there now? Just about side by side. I think that Kokoburg comes out ahead, but that's what happens if the racing is so close. If you lose one position, you end up losing another one just because you're offline. Kokoburg there deciding, you know what, I've had enough of these hard tyres, I'm coming into the pit lane. But what I was going to say before all that started is the gap at the front stopped growing. And Navatani there, who was sort of giving it all that in qualifying, is now on this medium compound tyre and matching Kawakami on lap time. Well, about 2-3 tenths slower a lap. To be honest, that isn't so bad around here.
No, normally you'd expect the gap to be about 1.2 seconds or so between the different compounds of tyre. So interesting to see there for Kawakami versus Navatani. We'll keep an eye on that. Cockburn's off the hard tyre. He goes on to the mediums then for his middle stint. Giotto also coming into the box in the Chevy Corvette from the hards. Likewise on to the mediums. Now Cockburn ahead there of Saya Suzuki. That's pretty important, but is he going to be able to retain that position as he comes up the mountain straight in towards Griffin's Bend, because this could upset Cockburn's race here. He wants to try and run in clear air. Down the straight we go. Suzuki's on the outside. He's got the slipstream and he's got the place really easily there, and that's not what Cockburn needed. The crucial thing when you're coming out of the pit lane, you're trying to get the undercut compared to some of the other drivers. You need clear air. You don't need to be battling with somebody that's out of position compared to you, and that is going to really put a spanner in the works for Cockburn and Mazda.
Yeah, this is all kind of meant about getting up at the right times. Here's Mosso and Hashima, our current first and third place in the standings at the moment. They're going side by side, just about keeping things there. Championship standings, that is, a simple name for the race at the moment. We're a drag race all the way down Mountain Straight. So this is great to watch for these guys, and great battling. But of course, if they are swapping positions like this every corner, it is going to cost them a little bit of time. Also, does go up the inside, but finally of Hashima. But yeah, very close, these guys.
Yeah, and then getting the better of the Ferrari driver. Here is Kawakami still continuing on. having a look at the sector signs, they're looking pretty okay still as it stands for now. He's just, as we said earlier on, driving a nice clean race. The gap up to nearly 6 seconds, and you can see there a look at the tyre wear as well. His front significantly more worn than the likes of Nabatani, Yamanaka and Sato on the medium tyres who haven't pitted.
You can hear the car from the corner, the tyres are screeching, and actually he was slower through the last sector than both Nabatani and Yamanaka behind on the medium compound tyres. So I think he's already, to say, Tom, he's really worn those fronts. We heard him actually just before going to this race with Sasha saying that he's a bit nervous about tyre wear in this car, and we're seeing that already. They're struggling, that front end really pushing on. So understeer, if you're unfamiliar, basically think about it, if you're about to hit a wall, if the front hits the wall first, it's understeer. If the rear hits the wall first, it's oversteer. And at the moment, the front is really pushing out. He can't get the car to turn as much as he wants it to. And those tyres are screeching in protest. And it's only going to get worse as the tyres get more worn.
Yeah, if you want a sort of more literal example of that, go to a supermarket, fill up your shopping trolley right at the front end, and then try and turn it. That's understeer for you. Kawakami on board with him. The gap coming down to just under 5.5 seconds. Still a nice comfortable position for him. He's just got to drive as cleanly as he possibly can. Try and eke these soft tyres out for as long as is viable. He doesn't want to stay on it forever because obviously they're going to fall off a cliff at some point. That performance is going to go, and if he's on them, he's going to be a sitting duck later on in the race. We've got to time this tyre change to perfection, and Kawakami, you can see him there nice and smooth on the steering, just one solid movement going into the corners, not trying to soar away at the wheel. I'm just trying to keep that gap at a constant. So this is what we usually see in these GT World Series races. Is it starts off pretty exciting. We get different drivers on different strategies all sort of working themselves out. Then we get a little bit of a lull sort of in the middle stages. And then once it all works out with the strategy later on, you've got different drivers on different tyres who have pitted at different times. That's when the race will really begin to come alive. I don't think Kawakami is going to be boxing on this lap or indeed the next lap, but it's certainly going to be on his radar before too long.
Interestingly, Nabatani is kind of matching Kawakami for sectors, so keep an eye on that gap. Here is the Suzuki and the BMW trying to come past Kokuman. Of course, both these guys have pit already, and Kokuman's decision to pit early maybe not the best one for him as he gets overtaken in a straight line.
Yeah, that's a re-overtake as well. We saw an overtake there a couple of laps ago. Kokuman managed to get ahead of Suzuki, and then Suzuki's gotten ahead of him in turn again. So Kokuman there now 1.5 seconds behind Suzuki. Crucially, he's out of the slipstream range. As we've got Benelli for AMG, Saki for Genesis, and Hashima for Ferrari, all in the pit lane then here on lap 6.
So second and third, both lapped quicker than first place on the last laps. Those medium tyres now are starting to come into their own. The soft tyres start to wear. So in comes Benelli going onto that soft compounder tyre now. Let's see what he can do on this stint. Comes out in traffic behind. I think that was Kokuman and Suzuki. So he's going to drive up to the back of these guys and have to get by on the circuit. So not ideal for Benelli, but we'll see if he can make the best of it. So watch Kawakami come over the mountain for the 6th time. Those front tyres now really starting to get to the danger zone, especially down here. You do not want those front tyres. That front right tyre in particular, just looking down there to 24%. And that for a corner like this, Forest Elbow coming through here, that front right tyre is just pushing on. You're just trying not to put the car into the wall on the outside. That's going to get tougher and tougher. And I won't be surprised if we see him pit very soon.
Yeah, I wondered if it would be actually the end of this lap, come to think of it. I said earlier on I didn't think it would be, but to be honest, the tyre wear has really gone down quite significantly for Kanata Kawakami here, and I'm sure he's going to be thinking about that either this lap, if not the very next lap for the Japanese drivers. So coming through into the chicane we go. Now, does Kawakami box at the end of this one? Just to remind you, Lexus second in the point standings, 2 points behind Porsche. Points awarded for the top 6 drivers. Kawakami decides to come in then into the pits. A bit of a late call there for him, but all is fair and okay. They practice these pit entries all day. And Kawakami then, where does he go now in terms of the strategy? Does he go to the hard tyre for this middle stint, or does he try to go on to the medium tyre and try to weather the storm a little bit? Either way, he's going to lose the lead here. Nabatani and Yamanaka, who are yet to pit in this race, continue on, and they will take over at the front of this one. Kawakami in the box. We still wait for the decision on where he's going in terms of his tyre strategies. He comes in for a new set of Michelin tyres on his car. He goes to the medium tyre then for the middle stint. That seems quite sensible for him, so he's going to try and go for a long middle stint here in this race and then run the hard tyres at the very end of this one. The thing is, what this does now then effectively kind of locks in the strategy for the likes of Nabatani and Yamanaka, because they need to be on the soft tyre at the end, because their nearest competitor in theory is going to be on the slowest compound.
So interestingly, Miyazono, of course, who pitted earlier on for those soft tyres a bit earlier in the race, fastest man on the track at the moment, also has the fastest lap of anyone at a 2:06. Very impressive in race trim with that fuel in the car. Is now 5 seconds behind Kawakami on the road and is on the faster tyre. For now, though, of course, the advantage this Subaru has being a little bit lighter than the other cars out there. It does go through the tyres a little bit slower than the other cars out there. So you might wonder, it's not fair, this car's slow in a straight line, but it's fast in other parts of the circuit. This is what makes the manufacturing series so unique. So many different brands, different approaches to going fast, and they're all using, of course, our balanced performance system, have a very similar lap time. So it's always very, very cool to watch as we an awesome onboard shot of Miyazono. I mean, surely, if you're unfamiliar, one of the Gran Turismo greats is Takuma Miyazono, and with Team Subaru as well, been a long-time Subaru driver, taking this manufacturer to the series win a couple of times in the past as well. I wouldn't want to come back, Nick, we miss you.
Don't forget about the QR code on your screen at the moment as well for more information about the drivers if you want to find out a little bit more about the men behind the wheel of the cars at the moment. I was trying to work out a way of putting that.
That would be a great opportunity. That would be an amazing opportunity.
Certainly would. So here is Miyazono then. Soft tyres for him. Of course, they're going to wear that a little bit quicker. Started this one, as you can see, on the hard compound, but he's running the softs in this middle stint of the race. He's in a nice bit of clear air at the moment. The gap between himself and Kawakami pretty stable as it stands for now, but Miyazono will be starting to eat into that before long.
Let's have a look at the lap times. Yeah, 2:01.3, 2:01.4, sorry, last time out. Of course, Kawakami with the box 2:03.7. So the gap has it's stabilised around 5 seconds between the two. So I think Kawakami is using that medium tyre, and Miyazono is coming to the end of the life. And let's look at the background there. As scary to see, isn't it, when you're in a little Subaru trying to make your way down the straight. Lots of cars in the background. Meanwhile, Navatani still leading 3 seconds a good over Yamanaka, Kokuban and Suzuki. And this battle continuing, apparently. Kokuban goes back past Suzuki in the Mazda. They're being clever about it, though. They're doing it on the straights. They aren't fighting in the corners. These guys, they know how to race each other. They know how to be quick over a race distance. One is different to being quick over a single lap and over a race. And these guys have raced together for many, many years. So definitely a little bit collusion there between the two, I'd say. But I imagine that will fade away as the laps fall down to the end.
Yeah, pretty good show off the crowd. They are here so far on Kokuban and Suzuki as it stands for now. Keep an eye out for Benelli because he's not far down the road from these two drivers as well. You can see him there just flashing past your screen in the Mercedes AMG. 2 seconds now is the gap between himself and the two Japanese drivers, but also Benelli is on that softer, quicker compound tyre. Let's have a look and see how Cochran set this one up. So coming out of Hell Corner, and Suzuki then a bit wide onto the curve. Cochran, of course, with the advantage of the slipstream as well. Falls behind the BMW, falls towards the right-hand side of the BMW, and fast past the BMW quite nicely for Cochran.
Spectacular overtake, but it works. If it works, it works.
The good thing is they're not costing each other too much time, compared to the likes of Benelli, who will be bearing down on them, as we said before too long. Interestingly now, one of the top three who haven't pitted, Sato, comes in on the medium tyres. I'm fairly sure he's going to have to go onto the hard tyre and then run the softs at the end of this race if he wants a chance at the podium. But I could be wrong.
Seems early. The rear tyre's failing a little bit on that Audi, which I'm not surprised. I've heard that car isn't kind to its rear tyres, but just to go back to Suzuki and Kokuban, I mean, they're not costing each other time, they're gaining each other time. They're using that slipstream to just slingshot past each other, gaining a few extra kph per straight if they were described it on their own. So watch out for these guys. This might be a bit of an interesting strategy for Sato there, going on to that soft compound in the Audi. Let's see if it can keep those tyres alive for more than a couple of laps. And does Miyazono go for one more lap on those soft tyres? We'll find out as Sato's come out just behind Sasaki, who goes up into 8th place for Team Genesis, and that is not what Sato wanted there. He wanted to be ahead.
No, absolutely not. He wanted to be on the soft tyre, as you said, but the problem is it's so much one at a time as you come up through the mountain. You just have to sit behind him unless he dive to the inside. Oh. There's a bit of contact there, and Sato just backs off the throttle and allows Sasaki to hold on to 8th place for now. It's a fair old dive bomb going through the left-hand. You don't make many complete overtakes going through that part of the lap unless you've got a good dance partner. Sato not able to make that little stick, but now he's just going to be hemorrhaging time, and this could prove to be quite costly for him if he just loses more compared to relative to the other drivers who he was close to on the circuit before his pit stop.
Stewart's having a look at that as to do with any contact, but I don't think it's going to be. Oh my word, Sasaki there, getting it all wrong, and we're going to see an overtake down towards front, but we're not. Sato having to wait a little bit longer now, and this is what Sato was he was scared of this, getting sucked behind the guy in front on worn tyres who's just trying to keep it together and just passing your time. It's so frustrating when the driver behind there, but that's what you've got to do. That's racing, and sometimes using worn tyres in this way is just as effective as using your tyres when Sato now pulling alongside. I didn't think too much opposition there from Sasaki. Sato up into P8, but that was a slow out lap there for the Audi driver.
Nice good overset there from Sato then, as he makes the position, goes up into 8th. Proved me wrong in terms of the strategy as well, so he went on to the soft tyre. I thought he was going to go to the hards. Proved what I know, absolutely nothing at all.
We all knew that.
Takuma Miyazono, 6th position for him as he comes into the pit lane then from the soft compound of tyre. Let's see which way he is going to go. He's already run the hard tyre, just to remind you, so presumably this will be the medium right to the end of this race. As we said, the crucial thing for him is he needs a nice bit of clear air. He's into the box at the moment. Interestingly, Shima and Mosso not far adrift of Sasaki for 8th position. Just to remind you, points on offer for the top 6 finishers in this race at the moment. Given the fact that they are 1st and 3rd in the championship for Porsche and Ferrari respectively, they will not be scoring any points so far here tonight.
We'll see. The race has still got 12 laps to go. Miyazono, I think, is strategy-wise, is playing this very well. I mean, he's putting himself in clean air, and he will be able to see that Nabatani and Yamanaka in heavier cars have managed to do 10 laps. It will be 11 laps next time by on this medium compound tyre. This Subaru, which is a bit better on its tyres, will be able to go longer than that. So yeah, medium to the end now for Miyazono. And again, see that mini-map on the top right-hand corner of your screen. That's the gap he's got to the rest of the field. So he can just drive into that gap now, try and get those laps, basically it's qualifying laps now for Miyazono for the rest of the race, if he has any chance of catching the leaders. Kawakami and Nabatani in the front there are the ones we're sort of watching for once the pit stops are all said and done. But interestingly,
Nabatani and Yamanaka really eking out those medium tyres, aren't they? They want to, for as long as they possibly can. So presumably they're going to either go onto the softs and run for as long as they can on those and then do a really short stint on the hards at the end of the race, or they're going to go onto the hards in the middle and then go onto the softs at the end. Let's wait and see what will happen for those two drivers. Bruce, we're going to come into the box as well. Look at the tyre wear. They're pretty warm, but they're not too bad.
Just having a look at Miyazono there, checking out the big screen and seeing what everyone else is doing there. That's one of the advantages of being here, of course. You can just have a quick look up to the monitor and go, oh, right, isn't that tyre, is he? Oh, he's got that tyre wear, is he? I wonder how he's doing. But Nabatani, I've got to say, for someone who is relatively unknown to us, doing a great job so far. I mean, those rear tyres looking a little bit worn, especially that rear right tyre, which will be under load right now, coming through the cutting. They're doing a great job, very mature drive so far. It's only half the race down at the moment.
Yeah, Suki Nabatani in the Honda doing a fantastic job. As we said, podium for that team in Montreal. If you remember, for the first World Series event of the year a few months ago, opportunity here for Honda to try and capitalise on their home support here tonight in Tokyo. So I just love this onboard shot. It's so fantastic. The eye of an eagle down from this section of the circuit. Is this one of your bucket list tracks?
Yeah, I love Kevin, but of course one of our German commentators, Mr. Florian Strauss, won this race back last 12 hours. He never talks about it, actually. But yeah, I would love the race here, of course. Remind you as well, we were live at 17 by German commentators. I mean, English broadcast is the best, we know that. But if you want to see what mediocrity looks like, you check out the broadcast.
Checks in the post today now, I'm sure. Happy about that. So we're at the halfway stage then of this race, and it's going to come alive, I'm sure, towards the very end of this one. So Nabatani, Yamanaka, the only two drivers left to pit at this one. Everybody else, as you can see, has made at least one pit stop. Benelli and Sato's tyres doing all right so far, but Nabatani does come into the pit lane at the end of the halfway stage, and Yamanaka also following suit here as well. So what Yamanaka needs is he needs a really good middle stint. Let's see whether these two will diverge in terms of their strategy, and crucially, where is Kawakami going to emerge? He's surely going to end up in the lead, but this was in 25 seconds, isn't it, for the pit stop, and he was 15 seconds behind. So nice and easy there for Kanata Kawakami, and I think, if anything, he'll be extending that advantage. So this is proving to be quite nice for Kawakami, but just to remind you, he does have to run another set of tyres, the hard tyres, the slowest competent tyres, right at the end of this race, which possibly some other drivers will not have to do. Nabatani goes soft for the middle stints of this one, and Yamanaka also following the same strategy. So all the drivers there, despite the fact they've started on different competent tyre, hang on a minute, here's Cockburn, who's managed to drag alongside Nabatani then and goes through into second position.
What a nightmare for Nabatani. That's, again, same thing. He does not want any traffic, and just that could be absolutely ruined that. Only a 10th difference there, which is a bit quicker on the inlap. That wouldn't have happened. But again, now he's got to try and pass him on the mountain. But interestingly, the gap before any pit stops is about 5 seconds. It's now 10 seconds to Kawakami lead. So really opened it up.
Look at Benelli here as well. He's having a really good lead from Tomoaki Yamanaka, both on the soft compound tyre, but Benelli's tyre significantly more courtesy of hitting earlier than the Japanese driver. Samurai, as he's known by our Italian commentators. Oh, it's the wall there for Benelli. That's going to really put him on the back foot, possibly leaving under threat here from Yamanaka, who's got great traction and great momentum. Has he got the opportunity to use it, though? It's going to be one a time through here, surely, and he's going to have to bide his time. Sato's there ready in the background to try and take profit of it as we come down through in towards the forest elbow. All of that momentum, but no room to use it there for Tomoaki Yamanaka down through the left-hander, and this is going to be a case of when and not if for Benelli to be losing possibly not one, maybe two positions. Down the Conrod straight we go. Yamanaka has got the slipstream, he'll have the overspeed here. Benelli's car's quick in a straight line, but I don't think it's going to be any match for the newer soft shod Yamanaka, who pulls alongside down the Conrod straight in towards the fast right of the chase. Benelli loses 5th place. Yamanaka's up a position there as well, and Sato is still lurking in the background, ready to take advantage.
Yeah, he did well to keep him there, but it's got to be a pit stop now for Benelli, surely. Into the bits it comes. I
thought he was diving to the inside there.
Mega lunge there. No, not quite coming in the box there. I think it's about time to get off those tyres. So soft tyres coming off that car. We'll let you know what he goes on to once he pits. Let you know what he goes on to once he pits and gets up to his stall. So here is the replay of, I think this is Nabatani on Kokubun. Around the outside, got the inside now for the left-hander, easier to take. The Kokubun also, I think, understands that right now, this isn't the fight he would be in. Drop behind, try and get pulled along a little bit, save a bit of time that way. But a clever move there by Kokubun, I think, to let that one go.
I'll tell you what, though, because Kokubun and the likes of Yamanaka, not too far apart from one another actually on track as well. Suzuki in the middle of those two drivers, and Yamanaka on the quick soft compound tyre, new soft compound tyres compared to the medium shod Suzuki and Kokubun at the moment. So he's going to be slowly creeping onto the back of it. He's already taken half a second out of those drivers on this lap alone in the first sector.
Yeah, so I mean, just shows the difference the tyre environment gives you around it. Of course, a little bit of skill in there as well, but the tyres do play a big part of that. Here is Kokubun, very experienced driver at these live events. He was actually at, I think he won the 2018 Nations Cup event. Back when it was done a little bit differently back then, and I remember there thinking, man, this guy's quick, and ever since then, he's always in the Channel 5, always there or thereabouts, and Mazda is no different. On board with Yamanaka now. Haven't not seen him for a while, have we? Good to see him back.
It is good to see him back. He's always a driver who provides a lot of entertainment for us. You can see him giving you a wave down there on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. He's driving nice and calm at the moment, and he looks to be in a position to count on the drivers in front of him before too long here. So let's keep an eye on Yamanaka's progress in the middle stages of this race. This is the thing that the likes of Yamanaka and Kawakami, etc., they've got so much experience here. They've been in this position a good few times. They know how to handle pressure and races like this. If you look at some of the newer drivers on the international stage, the likes of Hashima, of Goto, etc., they don't have the relative experience compared to those around them, and that could prove to be to their detriment in the live event environment that we have here.
It's different. We say every time we do this. It's different racing from the big crowd having two annoying English guys talk over the top of your racing. That's being than being in your sort of comfortable space you're used to driving. If you look at the speed difference here, will we see a move from Yamanaka? Yeah, he's going for it straight away. No time lost there for Yamanaka, up into P4, and now he goes on to the back of Kokubun. But I think Suzuki let that happen. In the background though, Sato started to gain as well. I was going to say he did have the fastest lap until just then. Yamanaka setting the fastest lap of the race last time around, a 2-minute .2. That was faster than some people's qualifying lap.
Amazing job from Tomoaki Yamanaka. Suzuki just also hitting it into the wall, going through the left-hander of the cutting as well. Just a bit of a kiss there for him. And Kokuma now with a face full, or a rear-view mirror full, I should say rather, of Tomoaki Yamanaka. And again, this is going to be a case of when and not if. You can't really make a move going through here, but we have seen Yamanaka very close. You can see him right on the ragged edge of adhesion. Through Forest Elbow we go, and down the back straight, and Yamanaka is shortening a breeze past the Mazda. That Mazda pretty handy in a straight line with his rotary Wankel engine. Don't ask me to say that one again. Down this straight we go though. Yamanaka's going to pull to the inside. Kokuman's not going to try and defend this one too much, I don't think, because Yamanaka, different strategy, newer tyres, and indeed the Japanese driver in the Toyota up through ahead of Kokuman in the Mazda.
Yeah, pretty nice move there. I think he made the right choice to do it there and not go for a London Forest Elbow. I think he could have made the move there, but he had the draft, and that would have gained him a bit of time as well, although he would have lost a bit for the elbow. But anyway, Yamanaka turning into a real contender in this race.
Just have a look at the lap times here with Kawakami. He was some 2 seconds slower a couple of times around. Whether he made a mistake or something, I don't know, because the lap times are a little bit closer this time around. Kawakami at 2:02.2, Nebatani at 2:0 for 10 seconds. It's now down to, what's that, 8.2.
Interestingly, on the same tyre, Miyazono is one of the fastest guys in the circuit on the medium compounder tyre. He's still in that little gap right now, just gaining and gaining and gaining. So, gap coming down the front, down below 8 seconds for the first time in a while, as Nebatani starts getting the best out of that soft compound. But behind him, Yamanaka, incredibly fast, but still 3 seconds down the road. So, most drivers now on the medium compounder tyre. We think we've seen the last stop for Miyazono, Binelli and Sato, with the rest of the field still owing. So keep an eye on these guys as the race progresses. Collision somewhere later.
Yeah, Moto and Hashima colliding with one another. They've been pretty inseparable throughout the entirety of this race. Sadly, for the wrong reasons as well, because they're not in the point standings. And at the moment, they will be set to lose. At the moment, they will be set to lose their positions in the championship here. We will have a new championship leader. Let's have another look and see what happened here between Moto and Hashima. So this is down what looks like the mountain straight in towards the right-hander. Hashima closing the door. Moto, for my money, was very firmly up the in already.
Yeah, I'd say that he got turned in on there. A shame for Hashima, but yeah, he was there. You can't pretend it's not there. So. We'll see what the stewards say. We have a bit of a running joke between the stewards. Like, will I agree with the stewards this time around? So,
and if you're playing bingo at home, you can cross that one off.
Yeah, I know. It's that. What else do we have? The Subaru's fast, straight line, rotary Wankel. We've got some good ones.
We certainly do. So we're coming in towards the business end of this race, and this is where it's really going to begin to hot up, because we've got the strategies to come into play, and we've got drivers coming into the pit lane then at the end of lap 16. Kokuman and Suzuki coming in, so they are going off of the medium compound of tyre. They're going to be going on to the softs, and they are going to have a lot of pace in the closing stages of this race. Miyazono has made his final stop, as you can see. He's on the medium tyres towards the end of this one. Hashima also in the pits after being in the wall a few corners ago. Gotto coming in for Chevrolet as well. So a flurry of activity in the pit lane here, and a smorgasbord of drivers that are going to be going on to some quick compounds of tyres, which could be proving to be a bit of an upset for some of the other drivers. I'm thinking the likes of Kawakami, Nabatani, Yamanaka, etc. They all owe the hard tyre at the end of this race.
Yeah, we've seen the track position doesn't really matter around here too much, because these straights are so long you can just graft by the guy in front of you. But now it'll be a fast finish for these guys. So Binelli, interestingly, behind this back, as is Sato as well on that hard compound. So for Sato, really, that's kind of his race over. I don't think he's going to come back from that. But Kokuman, Suzuki, Goto and Hashima, who's a bit further down the field now, all on those soft compound tyres. Meanwhile, Miyazono has been quietly making moves there on that medium compound tyre. So we will keep an eye on him. He owes no more stops. Kawakami, our leader, does owe one more stop, and more importantly, owes the hard compound tyre, which you've seen is the slowest. So how many more laps can he get out of that medium? I think he's really burning through these tyres, Tom.
Certainly is, and he's got to try and eke them out for as long as he possibly can to not lose as much time. But the thing is, you've got to find that right window, haven't you? Where you don't want to sell the tyre for too long, and you want to have as much pace as you can whilst you're on it. So if you sail it for too long, you'll be set to lose pace. Kawakami leading then on this one, owes the hard tyre, likewise Nebatani and Yamanaka. Is he going to come into the pits at the end of lap 16? Not this time. Oh, he does. Late move into the pit lane there for Kawakami. That's all okay.
It's going to be a long time.
Yeah, he's going to be on the hard tyre then for the closing stage of this one. I'm looking at the likes of Sasaki, at Miyazono, at Cockburn, etc., all on the soft compact tyres towards the end of this one. Because, well, Miyazono's a 9, in fact, he's already on the medium compact tyre, but these drivers are going to be on quicker compounds compared to the top 3 at least.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to now see where they all line up. So in comes Kawakami, of course, our leader. Where is Miyazono in relation to this? This could have been a masterstroke by Takuma Miyazono. Kawakami comes out the pits. Where is Miyazono? Don't see him. I think he's just a bit. 5 seconds is the gap there. So that 5 seconds has sort of held for the entire race. But Kawakami is now on the slower tyre. It's going to take a while to get some heat into those Michelin hard tyres. And Miyazono already out there, already on some more medium tyres. It's going to be a lot quicker on this first lap.
We've got 5 laps now remaining. It's about a second or so a lap, so it's going to be pretty close here for the podium with Kawakami and Miyazono. Let's keep an eye on that battle and see how it develops. The crucial thing is here, Nebatani, Yamanaka, etc. Again, all owe those hard compound tyres, and are they going to be possibly set to lose out on the podium in the closing stages of this one? Because they've still got a box, they're on the soft compound tyres, and they're coming towards the end of their useful shelf life. Yamanaka's more worn than Nebatani's at the moment, so Nebatani may get an extra lap compared to the Toyota driver. We'll see how that's going to play out.
I think using my incredibly large guarantee, Yamanaka and Nebatani are going to lose 20-odd seconds in the pits. So put them down to 3rd or 4th position.
That's the thing, isn't it? Miyazono is the real outlier because he's on the quicker compound tyre through the closing stage of this one. Don't count out the likes of Cockburn and Suzuki. I mean, it's going to take a fair old mission for them to challenge for the podium, but it's not out of the question. The soft tyre is just so much faster, and anything can happen here in these races.
But it is faster. We've seen it really drop off towards the end of the stint. So even if you're quick now, you have to nurse it a little bit to get it home. Otherwise, you're going to end up just running out of tyre and not being able to fight anyone. So here's Zono going down the straight. Nebatani boxing. This will be a really good indicator to see where they are. Yamanaka opting to stay out a bit longer on that soft tyre.
That surprises me because Nebatani had more tyre life left compared to Yamanaka.
It does. They're in different places. It is Yamanaka in that Toyota, more front biased, more tyre wear on the front right tyre, whereas Nebatani in the mid-engine Honda NSX, a lot more tyre wear on the rears, which around here, especially over the top of the mountain, sketchy. So maybe a better idea to go onto the hard tyres now, more for safety.
I think Miyazono's been absolutely blinded here. He's going to breeze past Nebatani, surely.
Yeah, there he goes.
There he goes, yeah, straight through off into the distance, and Nebatani emerges in 4th position. Crucially, though, you've got Cockburn and Suzuki on the soft tyre, not far away at all, so it could go from bad to worse here for Honda and for the Japanese driver. 2 other cars bearing down on him.
So at the moment, the real fight is between Miyazono and Kawakami at the front. You can see there, and we're 3 seconds faster on that last lap, but that does include the outlap of Kawakami as well, so that is going to be a little bit inflated, but we'll see what his time is this time around. But the gap is 3.6 seconds. About 3.5 laps to go. Kawakami in the wall there. You can see he's really struggling. I think he's just not getting that heat into the tyres, and he knows he's under pressure as well, and that can really get to you from not used to.
Well, this is really needing to hot up in the closing stages of this race. Nose to tail action here, and Nebatani surely is going to be with a sitting duck because Cockburn and Suzuki both on the soft compounded tyre coming down through this section of circuit we go, and this is where it's one at a time, but down the Conroe straight is where we could see and probably will see some moves being made, because I don't think Nebatani, despite the fact that he's a very talented driver, on that slow compound, hard compound of tyre, is going to be able to do anything to thwart the challenge of the Mazda and the BMW that sit in its wheel tracks then. So down the back straight of the Conroe straight we go. Nebatani pulls to the left side of the circuit, and Cockburn is surely going to be able to pull alongside him before too long. We go side by side down the straight we go. Yamanaka's into the pit lane here. Cockburn is into 4th position, into the chase, and keep an eye out for the BMW and Suzuki as well, who's going to look for the outside line. Nebatani's going to park the car on the apex and thwart Suzuki's charge for the time being, but will Suzuki have more room and more momentum on the outside? That is absolutely fantastic for Masaya Suzuki of the BMW as he goes up into 5th position, and Nebatani drops down 2 places in the space of 2 corners.
Nothing you could do there, just drove clean around the outside of them. So great move there by Suzuki. Yamanaka into the box for his set of hard tyres, comes out in 4th place, right in the train as well. And there is Nabatani, just lost a place. He'll gain one back now from Yamanaka. And I think that's horrible for Yamanaka there.
Well, the positions are really important here because it's down to 6th place for the points. You want to get yourself as high up as you possibly can here for someone like Yamanaka. Miyazono is on the ragged edge of adhesion though. 3.3 seconds last time around to give you a bit of a flavour of how different the lap times are. Kawakami a 2:02.1, Miyazono a 2:01.6, about half a second or so quicker than the Lexus last time around was Miyazono. Cockerman even quicker than those two. I don't think Cockerman's going to be close enough. I think he'll be dead on for that 3rd place, but the win may be a stretch too far. It all depends on how these last few laps look for Kawakami in terms of the lap times. We've seen him a little bit under pressure. He glanced the wall last time around, and if the pressure starts to get to him and he starts making a couple of errors, that's where we could see Miyazono ready to take profit and ready to try and take the victory.
Half a second faster last lap is Miyazono. That's not enough though. It needs to be a bit faster than that to catch on to the back of Kawakami. You can see that in the same frame for the first time since the start of the race, and it's been a long way round for Miyazono, but Kawakami and Miyazono are still in the places and they started in 1st and 2nd place right now, with Miyazono on the charge in the Subaru. But behind them is Ryota Kokuman. Now, he only needs to be really within a second of Miyazono to start picking up that draft down the straight. The straights are so long here that could be enough for him to catch and then pass Miyazono in the Subaru. Let's get a look at the lap times as they come back through. Kawakami still not yet coming to the line, but it was a 2:02.1 last time around for Kawakami. To Miyazono's 2:01.6.
It's definitely less than that. It's got to be, surely Kawakami's got to be slower than Miyazono. Only by a couple of tenths of a second though. It's not much.
Same lap time.
Yeah, 2:02.1 for Kawakami, 2:01.9. So is Miyazono just off the gas a little bit? It's Cockerman that's very firmly on it, and he's closing that gap down 2.7 seconds now to Miyazono.
But he's now under threat from Suzuki. I told you these guys wouldn't be as good friends at this point in the race. Kokuman is now starting to defend. Every point counts here. Kokuman going defensive into Griffin's corner there. Running Suzuki around the outside, who's going to drive it round the outside in the M6. He likes that, doesn't he? Suzuki up into P3 there. What a move from the BMW driver. Maybe he's the threat. He did a 2-minute, around 1.5 seconds faster than Miyazono in front, and nearly 2 seconds faster than Kawakami. He might still have a chance to win this.
2.5 seconds then is the deficit that he needs to make down to Takuma Miyazono there and thereabouts over the course of this lap. 2.5 laps to go in this race as well. Just remind you, points awarded for the top 6 finishers. If it stays as it is, we will have a new leader at the top of the pile because Porsche not scoring. Lexus possibly on for a podium finish here. This is Cockerman versus Suzuki. Cockerman tried to hold the inside line. Suzuki said thanks very much, then I'll go to the outside. Managed to just drive it through that right hand. Better traction on the outside of that corner, despite not being on the grippy part of the racetrack, and got himself up through into 3rd position. So down the Conrod straight we go. Kawakami 2.7 seconds. The gap kind of levelling off here, isn't it? I tell you what, Kawakami's race, if he does win it, that was won in the opening stint where he was able to just drive away from the rest of the field, do an Igor Fraga, as it were, clear off into the distance, and he's given himself that comfortable cushion for now.
Yeah, I think that there's a bit of a wobble mid-race for Kawakami, but he's sort of come back around now. I think now he knows that I don't think he can catch me. I think I'm good. He's just chilled out a bit there and is now just getting on with it. 202.5 from Kawakami to Miyazono's 202.1. That's enough. That is enough for him. But in the background, Suzuki and Kokuman still squabbling. They lost a bit of time to that fight last time on the last lap. Not quite as quick as they were before, but I think now, actually, Suzuki and Kokuman are going to be engrossed in their own fight and they're not going to go after Miyazono. Of course, both of these manufacturers, they do have points from the board. They're actually tied right now for points, BMW and Mazda in the standings. So whoever comes out on top there will move up. But this team, Team Subaru, currently for a non-score. So any points that Miyazono can get, the most he needs to basically stay where he is. He can't afford to lose anything. For Kawakami and Lexus, this is perfect. Porsche are not going to score. They're in P10. Kawakami and Lexus are going to take 4 points from to rocket them to the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Lexus could be set to be going into the World Finals in Amsterdam at the start of December. Cockburn and Suzuki under investigation for collision as well. Has there been something off screen that we haven't seen? You can just see Kawakami. Kawakami into the distance, and Miyazono, and he's there and thereabouts, but he's not quite close enough. Let's have another look here. Suzuki versus Cockburn. So this time around. Oh, they had contact going into Griffins, and Cockburn got sent into the wall there on the outside. It was only a half a sort of wheel of contact really going into there. Not much at all, but the slightest of touches when you're on the limit like these drivers are, and it can cost you very dearly indeed. And speaking of costing very dearly, Suzuki still just 2.1 seconds behind Miyazono. Down the Conrod straight we go with the BMW driver Saya Suzuki. BMW currently 5th in the standings coming into this one, tied on points with Mazda, so they'll be getting the better of them not only in the race but also in terms of the points finishes in this one as well. Just to remind you, 6 points awarded for the victory, all the way down to 1 point for 6th place. So Toyota will be the last of the point scorers as it stands for now.
Miyazono is not safe. Suzuki has really upped the pace there on that last lap. They come on to the final lap here in the Manufacturers' Cup in Tokyo. Mount Panorama is your circuit, and we're on board with 3rd place. BMW, Suzuki at the wheel, the fastest man on track at the moment. And he's bearing down onto Kimi Miyazono. 1.7 seconds is the gap right now. We've got 2 big straights here, which is going to be a big disadvantage to that Subaru. But can Miyazono hold on over the top of the mountain?
Well, let's see what happens here with Suzuki versus Miyazono. Surely it's going to be in the twisty stuff going into the Conrod straight where he'll be able to gain that time, Suzuki, over Miyazono. But we know also that Subaru, conversely, is really handy in the twisty bits. You can see him, though, in front, dangling that carrot for Saya Suzuki at the moment. And half a lap left in this one to decide 2nd and 3rd in this race. It is not over. Suzuki right up against the wall. He is leaving nothing on the table in the closing stages of this race here. But I wonder if it's just going to be a charge that will come a little bit too late. Down in towards this section we go. This is where Suzuki will be gaining time on that soft tyre compared to Miyazono. Down through into the Forest Elbow section, and then on towards the Conrod straight. Kawakami, dribbling an absolute blinder, by the way. He's managed to keep that gap pretty constant at 2 seconds in the closing stages of this one. The gap now down to 1.9 seconds. It's close for Miyazono and Suzuki, but it's not quite close enough for Suzuki to be in the slipstream of the Subaru driver. So, down the Conrod straight we go for the final time, and this has been a quite brilliant race for Lexus and for Kawakami. He managed to get into the lead of this one at the start of it from being on pole position, drove away from the rest of the field on the soft compound of tyre, built up a gap of 5 seconds, doubled that to 10 seconds when all the pit stops worked out, and after Lexus took victory in the opening round of the Gran Turismo World Series in Montreal, they will take their 2nd victory of the season as Kanata Kawakami wins for Lexus in Gran Turismo World Series 3 here in Tokyo in the Manufacturers' Cup. It's Lexus who spearhead themselves to the top of the tables, ahead of Takuma Miyazono for Subaru in 2nd, and Saya Suzuki on the podium for BMW in 3rd place. Fantastic race there. What a drive from Kanata Kawakami. That was absolutely textbook.
You can tell that he is sweating. He felt the pressure on that one. But as you say, Tom, that couldn't have gone any better for Team Lexus. We had Igor Fraga here of his...
2024 Gran Turismo World Series. Production cars tuned to the max in the beautiful conditions of this Tokyo Expressway circuit at night as well, just to add another element for the drivers to have to contend with. And here is how they line up on the grid. It's Takuma Miyazono in the Lamborghini, who's in pole position. Alongside on the front row, the Audi R8 of Takuma Sasaki. Row 2 is headed by Angela Stroza in the Mercedes-AMG Black Series. Jose Serrano accompanying the Ferrari F40. Next up, it's Kylian Drumont in the Pagani Huayra. Then you've got Coque Lopez in the Nissan Skyline GTR R34. Then the R32 Nismo Skyline of Ryder Brun. He's in 7th with Valerio Gallo. He'll be happy with that. He loves the Honda. He's in the NSX in 8th position. Then it's Guy Barbara in the Nissan GTR R35. And then Toyota Supra is driven by Robbie Heck. Alan Bush, I should say, beg your pardon, is in the Mazda RX-7. And Adriano Carrazza in the Nismo 400R lines up at the back of the field. No need to worry about tyres during this race, by the way. It's a flat-out sprint from... Racing the sprint race for Nations Cup here in Tokyo is underway. Miyazono leads the field across the timeline, then Sasaki in second, Stroza in third. You can guarantee that order will be changing by the first corner, and even within a few hundred metres it's changed because Sasaki goes through into the race lead. Now Miyazono goes from being the hunter or being the hunted to being the hunter, rather, I should say. Serrano there lurking in the background, as well as Angela Stroza. It funnels right down into turn 1. Who's going to be last of the late breakers? Miyazono on the inside, then Sasaki and Serrano bang into the wall for Sasaki and also for Serrano. Stroza takes advantage and goes through into third position, and somehow, in all of the drama, Miyazono manages to retain the lead.
Yeah, I mean, they've had the brakes upgraded these things, but I mean, slowing from that sort of speed is very, very difficult indeed. A couple of cars into the wall there. Miyazono out front from Sasaki, Stroza there in third, Serrano fourth. But as you can see, very, very tricky getting these production-based cars through this circuit. So much power being delivered to the wheels here. Some of these cars as well are rear-wheel drive, some are four-wheel drive. So there's an advantage there in traction zones, but of course in the corners they're going to be a bit more susceptible to understeer the four-wheel drive machines. But coming through this tight section for the first time, we can now come back up towards where we started our rolling start. And to be honest, you don't really want to be where Miyazono is unless you can get a big gap out front, because the slipstream, the toe in these cars is absolutely huge.
Yeah, it certainly is. So let's see what's going to happen then here as we come down in towards the hairpin. They're not favourable on traction, these cars, at all, because the amount of power that's going through the rear axles, or indeed sometimes the front and the rear axles. You've got to be really, really ginger on the power. Someone's out well by this kind of run, isn't it? Yeah, he's off into the centre of Tokyo, I think. He's ended up in Ginza or something along the lines of that, but manages to keep it righted and holds on to 8th position. On board we are here with Jose Serrano. Look at the power here of the Ferrari F40 as we go into the tunnel, and his next target will be Sasaki in front. So it's the two Japanese drivers now leading the Spaniards.
Look at that speed climb there, 360 kph before we came on board there, 390, then 400 kilometres an hour off the end of the speedo, and then some into this F40. I mean, I live too, to be honest, at this point. It's very, very quickly. Well, do they all get stopped in time this time through? They do, and kind of Brun almost getting it wrong in the skyline, almost going to the back of Jose Serrano there, but Sasaki up into the lead now, of course, after that slipstream opportunity. But you're seeing these cars are insane. You have to belong to a very special club to be in one of these cars, Tom.
Certainly do. On board we are looking rather, I should say, at Takuma Miyazono, with Sasaki having taken over at the sharp end of this race. So down through into these sweeping S-bends. You've got to be one at a time through here, and you've got to really be careful about what sort of opportunities you decide to take, what liberties you decide to take, because it will reward you with the wall if you decide to push the limits that little bit too far. So Stroza having a good run of things so far. And just to remind you, of course, this race result will decide the grid order for the grand final coming up along the way after this one. And just to add another variable in the mix, we're into the Red Bull X 2019. Now let's work out what happened here with Robbie Heck and Guy Barbara. This is going to be down into the hairpin bend, and I think there's going to be a bit of contact into the back. Yeah, Barbara just misses braking point straight into Heck. Heck gets spun round. Barbara backs off the gas. I think Heck he's still down in 12th place, so I reckon there'll be a penalty coming for that.
That's a very Guy Barbara thing to happen, isn't it, unfortunately? He always seems to be quick, but just a little bit prone to incident at the moment.
And Robbie Heck has loads of luck, just all a bit bad, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it is. But again, on board this time, with the mighty R34 GTR. Guy Barbara giving that penalty. Here's the Simpson. Look at this, in Estrosa. We're going to drive by him. I say that, but now we're back into the toe again. So it's just a look. I mean, despite the speeds, again, we're well off the end of the speedo here in the R34. We've got 410, 414, 400. We're going to see 420.
We're going to go through all wide for the race leader as well. Coming down in towards the first corner. Serrano's on the outside. Sasaki there as well. Oh, bang! Straight into the back. Lopez into the wall. And that is drama. And we were expecting it to kick off. And unfortunately, it did in the biggest way at the start of lap 3. The upshot is it's Sasaki, Miyazono in Estrosa out in front. And now we've got Lopez, who's got a lot of recovery work to do if he's going to be able to salvage a result from this race and secure himself a good grid position for the grand final.
Yeah, that's our championship leader right there in jeopardy. So, I mean, we know Coque Lopez is good at coming back through the field, but obviously you don't want to be doing that. And that will likely be a penalty as well, because he just ran into the back of the guy in front. Valerio Gallo, good race from him so far, up to P5. He's moved up 3 places from his starting position in 8th, so now onto the back of the pack. From there, NSX doing pretty well. Here is a replay, if you missed it, of Coque Lopez just getting the braking all sorts of wrong. He actually helps to run him out a bit there, I think.
I think he knew that he'd outbrake himself, but he just decided to go straight to the wall. Look at that. Facial reaction says it all, doesn't it?
Oops.
Yeah, something's wrong with him running around in his head, but we can't repeat on the broadcast. Guy Barber did, by the way, pick up a 2-second penalty for troubles after that collision with Robbie Heck, just for your information. Miyazono a bit deep at the hairpin there. That allows the door to open for Estrosa, who's gladly ready to walk through it and slot into the slipstream of Sasaki, the race leader. Lopez and Serrano now under investigation for that collision at the start of this lap as well. Onto the straight we go, and we've got a fantastic shot of the action unfolding here with Valerio Gallo in front. We've got Serrano and Miyazono side by side. So Serrano and Estrosa, I should say, side by side as we go through the tunnel. Estrosa just able to hold firm ahead of Jose Serrano for now as well. Keep an eye out for Kai de Bruyne. He's having some little white races. Look at the closing speed of the slipstream there for Miyazono. Sasaki early on the brakes. He knows that you don't want to make the same mistakes that Lopez did. Hello, enter stage left. That's Angel Estrosa trying to go the long way around the outside, but you have to wake up pretty early to try and fall off Takuma Sasaki. He probably knows these roads a little bit better than Angel Estrosa.
Isn't that insane that you can be going 380 kph and the guy drives by you with that speed differential? Crazy combat. Unsurprisingly, though, yeah, I saw that coming. Coque Lopez getting the same penalty Guy Barber got. It was effectively the same incident there. So Coque Lopez getting slapped for that. Meanwhile, the fight first now really between these 5 cars. There's a bit of a gap behind us to Kai de Bruyne in the R32, but on board again with the NSX Type R of Valerio Gallo, currently second in the standings in our Nations Cup. So again, looking for a good position here, looking for a good result to try and put himself in a nice order for the race coming, the Grand Final coming later on.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity here for Gallo to try and take profit courtesy of that incident for Lopez, especially the penalty to compound the Spaniard's woes. Gallo there, brilliant drive, isn't it? Fantastic. Lopez with another 1-second penalty to add to his woes there as well. Down on the brakes we go into the hairpin. Gallo's just going to bide his time. There's no point going and diving up the inside because you're going to lose all of that by the time you come to this next straight.
Yeah, he did back off there, I think, to get this toe. This is how strong the toe is. So right now, we're in P5. Let's see how much time we can gain being the last car in the train. Saying that, this car's rocketing away from the air 6 down the straight. Let's see what Gallo can do. As Serrano moves ahead of Estrosa. Who's that as well? That kind of brilliant in the skyline. Look at the power of the thing. But he's passed Valerio Gallo. He's now chasing the cars in front. No, he's fallen back by again. But you can see just how strong the toe is. And again, Sasaki and Miyazono trade places. I think they're being a bit careful, but they're saying that. Miyazono trying to keep it on the inside. There's Valerio Gallo diving up the inside of everyone up into P3. Was there contact there, Tom?
I don't know if there was. Estrosa was out well wide, but I think he was on that course to himself. Oh, a bit of contact to the wall there as well. Serrano's in the middle of a bit of a pickle here because he's got De Bruyne in front, but he's trying to high rather, I should say, but also trying to attack the driver in front. And sure enough, he changed to the next corner, and the order has changed as well. De Bruyne side by side now with the Ferrari as we come through this ever-sweeping series of corners, and De Bruyne just keeping his powder dry for the time being.
This is just, what a race this is, what cars these are, the speeds are ridiculous. The thing is, at these speeds, if you do get something wrong, you miss your braking point by, Gallo just driving by Sasaki there. And he didn't need him by it twice for that, did he? So Gallo now up into second place. It's been a great drive from the Italian so far. Of course, his cars are very different from the X2090s, but we see this with Valerio. He really likes his production-style car a bit soft, a bit more roll to it. He just loves this sort of car. It really is just doing so well today.
I'm loving these production cars because we get to see the beautiful interiors that the team at Polyphony had modelled as well. I was actually watching on board with Valerio Gallo a few minutes ago, looking at the clock, and I noticed that the clock does actually work in real time as well. Just that little attention to detail. Meanwhile, Sasaki is keeping an eye on his clock because he knows that the time will be running out as we head to the halfway stage. He now gets past the Honda NSX of Valerio Gallo and back through into second position. Look at this, 3 abreast as we come through the tunnel. Oh, contact there with De Bruyne and in Astroza. You've got to be so careful of that because these cars, when they're on the edge of adhesion like they are, you can flick them round with your little finger and it doesn't take a lot of contact at all to ruin your race. De Bruyne keeping a watching brief. We now ride on board with him. This is a familiar sight for you if your name is Jimmy Broadbent, because that's a similar interior for your car. Look at that, Sasaki on the inside and Gallo as well. It's going to get messy, this one, isn't it, in the closing stages? You can just sense it's going to really bubble up. And look at that, De Bruyne with a lunge to the inside of Serrano as well. I don't think he'll make that stick, but somehow he's got traction on the inside here against the Spaniard, and if he can hold it around the outside, Serrano has got trap position.
You can see in the traction zone, this thing's forward drive compared to his rear-wheel drive cars in front. It's able to get that power down a bit quicker, but then through these this midsection just doesn't quite have the same cornering ability. So pretty interesting to the strengths and weaknesses of the cars around this Tokyo Expressway circuit. And you see the gap really opening up there to the cars in front and behind us. It's a 3.5 second gap. So the top 6 sort of are comfy right now. And a reminder that it is a top 6 that'll be scoring points in the grand final a bit later on. So good practice for Kai De Bruyne, but now closing back up to this leading pack. So there's a little bit of cat and mouse here, isn't there? Because this slipstream coming in. So just trying to position yourself in the best place going onto that massive front straight.
Yeah, there is a fair bit of yin and yang going on in this race. Lopez, by the way, down in 10th position. His race not going well at all, and that's going to give him a big uphill task for the grand final in the X2019s a little bit later on. But if anyone can turn it round, Coco Lopez can. If you remember, he started last on the grid in the grand final in Prague, managed to get his way up to a podium finish, could have possibly fought the victory. On board we are then here with Kai De Bruyne. He's got Angel Astroza directly in front in the Mercedes AMG Black Series. Then it's Valerio Gallo up the road, and he's going to breeze on by Mercedes, or is he? Because pulling out the slip through there is in Astroza on Valerio Gallo, and De Bruyne there, though he's got a fair bit of straight line speed, and that's where the strength of this Nissan GTR seems to be at the moment. It's just not able to use it for the time being. It's going to be a lunge from the inside. We're side by side there for third. In Astroza looking for the long way around the outside of Valerio Gallo. That'll be a brave move if he can pull it off. Indeed he can't. The door's open for Kai De Bruyne, who gladly tries to walk through it. There's a bit of hip and shoulder going through into turn 2, and De Bruyne does manage to get the better of in Astroza and goes up into 4th.
The braking zones are just so long here. Such good opportunities for these big moves if you're comfortable in taking that risk. We've seen what happens if you're just a little bit too late on the brakes in. That barrier is just waiting to greet you from the outside of the corner. And again, you're seeing this skyline just a bit weak in this part of the circuit. It can't keep up the rest.
So even what it has done though, it's just allowed the top 3 to have a little bit of breathing space. Only 7/10 of a second or so, but whilst they've been squabbling amongst one another behind, it's just broken the pack up ever so slightly. And likewise, Miyazono, he's begun to pull the pin now. He's got 8/10 of a second. That's the biggest gap we've seen all race long for the lead.
So with that NSX very, very strong in that midsection there. Looking to then, Gallo is desperate to get by Sasaki. I think he's being held up a little bit now. But as you're saying, this Sasaki being a bit slow, it is giving Miyazono that gap. And we're getting to the point now where the draft isn't going to quite be as strong. That's what is keeping these guys together. But of course, you might have played the old GT4 driver missions, the slingshot missions. That's what Gallo's going to do now. He's going to wait, try and get a good run out of the corner, get a massive draft. You see the difference between all-wheel drive there and rear-wheel drive in the corner. That's amazing.
Patience is going to reward these drivers, isn't it? You don't want to be like a toddler waiting to open your presents on Christmas Eve. You've got to be careful about how you do this one, and you can see there, Kai De Bruyne now goes up into 3rd position against Valerio Gallo. Across the timeline we go, 3 to go then at the end of this one. So De Bruyne in 3rd position in the Nissan Skyline R32. Just up in front you've got Sasaki, who's taken over from Takuma Miyazono, so that 8/10 of a second lead washed away in the space of less than 1 straight. Miyazono has a look back on the inside in the Lamborghini. Can he make it stick? I don't think Sasaki's going to hold him up too much, because he knows if they start squabbling, I say that, he goes back through on the inside. Beautiful switchback from Sasaki, but it's released the rest of the field to close right up onto the rear wing of the top 2 once again.
I know, obviously we're impartial here in the commentary booth, but I am cheering a little bit for that R32 third place. Kind of Bruin doing things with that car that I'm not sure it's meant to do, to be honest, but they're now in the back of the train. Look how close these guys are. 6 cars all separated by about a second as we're on the lap 8 of 10. So only about a lap, about 2 laps and a half to sort this all out for our guys here. Jose Serrano on board in that awesome Ferrari F40, always also looking to pounce. You get the real impression, Tom, that anyone could win this race. Yeah,
it is going to be a lottery. Oh, De Bruyn's wide though. That's allowed Gallo through, and Serrano possibly to pick up the pieces as well. De Bruyn's still there on the inside, trying to hold firm for 5th position at the moment. You can see up in front now as well. Once again, that yin and yang, the ebbing and flowing of this race. Sasaki leading from Miyazono. Gallo and Miyazono now side by side for a second as we come down into the hairpin. Is Miyazono going to launch it through on the inside, or is he going to try and wait another day? No, he's going to go through. He's got track position on the inside. Will Gallo try and challenge him on the exit of the corner? He just lets him through and decides to go into the slipstream to attack him on this start-finish straight. So 2 to go then.
The NSX just can't get out of the corner. Every time you see it struggle compared to the cars around it. Again in the background, Kai De Bruyn in that 4-wheel drive R32 GTR just pulls alongside with ease, and they're now side by side in the mirror. What a shot that is to be come down again to the first corner on board Miyazono. Look at that speed, look at the mirror. Kai De Bruyn is there behind, challenging. He's going to go up to second place. Will he ever go on to Miyazono for first on the inside as well? Oh, that was... He goes.
It bottlenecks up into turn 1, and De Bruyn round like a tabletop at the start of the penultimate lap. What a shame for the Dutchman. We've always talked about him and his misfortune in the GT World Series, and unfortunately it comes home to roost as he plummets down the order. That releases 6 cars now down to 5. Miyazono it is that leads.
What a shame for Guy De Bruyn. It was a very strong race for him there, but actually same time the track's just a bit narrower there, and I think he's caught out by that as Gallo goes round the outside of Sasaki. And now, for the first time, Valerio Gallo is in a position where maybe he can get onto the back of Miyazono. He's going to be close. That Gallardo close. That Gallardo in front, I think, is 4-wheel drive. So here's a replay of what happens here, Tom.
Yeah, let's have a look. So De Bruyn then go for the move, and yeah, he just clips the wall, doesn't he? There wasn't any contact seemingly with Miyazono. Clips the wall as it bocks up. That sends him round. I talked about the cars being so easy to turn around when you're at that limit, and you can see it there spinning round right to the back of the field. It's now an uphill challenge for De Bruyn, unfortunately, for the grand final. He'll be starting plumb last.
Yeah, it just came round and just turned across the nose of Miyazono, and that was the end. It's a real shame for Kai De Bruyn, but just over 1 lap to go here. The sprint race here at Tokyo Expressway. It's going to be Miyazono leads at the last corner. Gallo second, Sasaki third, and now it's going to be the biggest slipstream race of your life. They're all going to want to lead into T1, and Miyazono's in the worst place.
Keep an eye out as well for the slipstream here, because we're just about to come across to the timing line and see how far Valerio Gallo is. So look, there's the start-finish line. What's that going to look like in a lap time? You need to be closer than that in order to challenge for the victory if you're going to go for a slipstream move. Gallo then now does go for the move against Takuma Miyazono, and hello, here comes Jose Serrano. There's more contact there. Miyazono gets biffed into the wall, but he's got the advantage of the slipstream, and it's Serrano going to be in a bit of lumber here. No, he's still there, ready to try and take advantage down to the first corner. Miyazono with a lunge on the inside, leans on Valerio Gallo. Gallo's going to get shovelled to the outside. Miyazono is going to have a sniff through into turn 2, but can't do anything, and now it's Gallo that leads, but he's slightly in the wall. Sasaki's ready there to take the advantage of it as well, and likewise Serrano, and also Angelica Stroza. This is going to get messy.
So Gallo is out front, but he needs a gap. That car is not good off the last corner. Any of the cars behind him will out-drag him down to the first corner. So at the moment, Gallo's going to drive for his life in this middle sector. Miyazono is still there. We have our second and third place in the championship, separated by only 0.3 of a second coming into the last section. Now he's putting a bit of a gap, Tom, but is that going to be enough going on to the final straight?
Time is going to tell here that Gallo's pulled an advantage, but like you say, is it going to be enough for him to have that in his pocket? There are the steely eyes of determination for the Italian. The winner, of course, of the grand final from Prague last time out. Second he sits in the standings. His nearest rival to that is Coque Lopez. He's 11th, and that's where it looks like he'll be starting the grand final from. So this will be a great opportunity here for Valerio Gallo. Down into the hairpin. Miyazono late on the brakes. He's deep. Could that cost him a possibility of second place even here as we come on to the start-finish straight then for the final time? It's Gallo, Miyazono, Sasaki and Serrano. Miyazono's close. He's in the slipstream. We're going to go through into the tunnel and we're going to come to the timing line. Is Gallo going to be a sitting duck, or is Miyazono going to pounce? It's a trap to the line in the sprint race here in the Nations Cup. Is it Miyazono? Oh, Gallo! 0.003 of a second in it, streets of Tokyo. Gallo finishes second, Sasaki in third. What a finish! Absolutely fantastic!
You could just see Valerio looking out the side of his car being no, and Miyazono came through like a freight train. Good to see him getting up and applauding that. Sometimes you don't mind a race like that when you're a driver. If you come away feeling like you've had a good race.
The crowd are going to be on their feet for this one, I'm sure. The grand final of the Nations Cup is along the way. Red Bull X 2019's at Grand Valley Highway 1. Let's see what happens as we get ready for our last event before the World Finals in December. Here's the grid then. Takuma Miyazono lines up on pole position after taking victory in the sprint race by 3,000ths of a second from this man, Valerio Gallo. Alongside him on the front row there with Sasaki heading row 2 and Jose Serrano alongside on row 2 alongside him was there. Row 3 is headed by Angel Estrada, the Chilean driver, with Callum Roach. Performance for him in the sprint race to qualify in 6th position ahead of Guy Barbara, the Australian. Next up, you've got Adriano Carazza. He'll be hoping for good fortune here tonight. Robbie Heck down in 9th position on the grid, but then we've got a couple of outliers. Kylian Drummond, didn't expect to see him quite as far down the order in 10th position, and Coque Lopez, the man who leads the championship down in 11th, with Kai de Bruyne, the unlucky Dutchman for company. Now, our first look at the tyre strategy. Unsurprisingly there, Takuma Miyazono going on the soft compound of tyre. He wants to do what we saw in the Manufacturers' Cup a couple of hours ago, Jimmy, and break away early. Yeah,
very similar strat here. I mean, basically, if you're at the front, go for the soft tyre, break away, try and use that in the space you have in front of you, and just hope you don't get overtaken by the car behind. That is worst case scenario for Miyazono, so he needs to lead this first stint. Likewise, on the other side of the coin, we've got Guy Barbara, Robbie Heck, Drummond, Coque Lopez and Kai de Bruyne all opting to start on that hard compound of tyre towards the back of the field, get out of the way early when in traffic, and then get onto that fast tyre later on.
Well, let's see what is going to happen. There is Angel Estrada, the Chilean driver, returning from injury after breaking his leg last year, and he's back to full fitness now. We'll see whether he is going to be able to get the cat amongst the pigeons and crucially get himself off the bottom of the scoreboard. There's going to be all eyes on the lights in a few moments' time. Nations Cup action about to begin then here for the grand final. 27 laps of action begins now as Takuma Miyazono leads the field across the line, followed by Gallo and Sasaki coming down in towards turn 2. This is the first big heavy braking zone. The field, of course, a fair bit spread out due to that rolling start, and Miyazono with a lot more grip underneath him as well, courtesy of those soft tyres. Let's see what happens with the medium shod runners. Will they start squabbling amongst themselves, or will they start playing it safe in the early stages of this race? Either way, it's Miyazono that leads the way out in front through the first few corners. Estrada there having a half look to the inside, but also then gets in turn overtaken by Callum Roach.
The edge had contact there with Sasaki, which put him back into the field, so already the first move we've seen. Possible contact. In fact, there was contact. The stewards having a look at that right now. But to be honest, this first lap stuff, it is what it is. But you see the cars snaking through this mid-section. Callum Roach up into 4th place. A great start from the American driver. So him stamping his intent fairly quickly is Callan, as we now come on to this little mini back straight here. Opportunity to overtake if you're close enough using the draft. Will Callan Roach do that on Sasaki here? Does he try? Because we've seen Roach before in these Expert 90s. He's pretty quick in these, so one to watch, I think.
Yeah, he needs to have some good fortune. He hasn't had any of that so far this year, has Callan Roach, another driver who's not off the bottom of the scoreboard. You can see the advantage of that soft drop out of tyre. 1.5 seconds, and we're not even at the end of the first lap here for Takuma Miyazono. Gallo building a bit of a gap, though, to Sasaki in third position. The slipstream range about 1.1, 1.2 seconds or so, and Gallo's trying to break out of that slipstream range. You can see coming down the start-finish straight here, Roach right on the wheel tracks here of Takuma Sasaki. I think he's a bit far away, and we see a smorgasbord of hard tyre shod runners. Barbara, Dumont, De Bruyne and Lopez all getting off that hard tyre as soon as they possibly can. They're going on to the mediums by the looks of things.
Well, that says one or two things. Either they're very confident the medium tyre can go a long way in this race as can the soft, or it's going to be a free stop for a double soft, as we but unsurprisingly coming in straight away. This is someone who needs to get out of the pits and have some clear area. I'm not sure he's going to, though, if he's pitting at the same time. So Ramirez currently is towards the back of his pack, isn't he? So some people have tried the same thing, but we'll see if it works out.
He's going to have a little bit of work to here, is Coco Lopez. You can see him down there in 12th position, but what's the gap relative to the rest of the field? It's not going to be a great deal, is it? Guy Barber just getting overtaken there by Killian Dumont as the rest of that field filters on through. Let's have a look here with Roach, Inestrosa, Serrano. So Inestrosa biffed it up the inside. He was too late on the brakes into Sasaki. And Serrano just an innocent passenger there, but Roach saw the doors opening that the seams were parting and walked straight through it.
That almost worked. Sasaki wasn't there. it would have been fine.
So it didn't work then, is what we're saying.
Almost. Sasaki, meanwhile, managing to close that gap a little bit to Valerio Gallo at the end of lap 2 there. Important to do that, I think, because in the throws they're getting a 1 second penalty. To be fair, that is consistent with what the stewards have done so far, so not entirely surprised to see that.
Yeah, no surprise at all there. Here is Jose Serrano, 1/3 of the Nations Cup lineup, which won the title in the 2023. Back when that was a team-based competition. For 2024, it's an individual competition. It's winner takes all stakes. And look forward to seeing what's going to happen in the World Finals. Takuma Sasaki still with Cam Roach right on his rear wing as he tries to find his way past. At the moment, they're all being relatively well behaved. Stands for now. You can see a fair big gap there back to Dumont. Of course, they will make their pit stops, as we know, for 25 seconds or so. So Dumont with a nice bit of clear air in front of him, but he's not got too much of a time to sit there and think about it, because he's got Barbara, De Bruyne very close behind. Lopez in turn is about 3 or so seconds off the back of that field at the moment, so he can run relatively comfortably for the time being. But if he does pick up the pace, he'll begin to get into the dirty air, which, as we know, is quite prominent on these heavy downforce cars.
Yeah, of course. So it was good to keep that in mind. So good to note, by the way, our current Nations Cup standings. We have 6 drivers who are sort of within touching distance of the lead. We've got Coco Lopez leading 8 points, Valerio Gallo 7, Miyazono 6, then Dumont, De Bruyne and Serrano all on 5 points apiece. So either of these drivers with a good result today could see themselves rocket to the top of the order. It's been a very close season so far, and this is, I think, going to continue into the grand final.
I just love this circle as well. The fantastic atmosphere. Of course, it is a fictional track. It's based on a real-life location, the Grand Valley Highway, and just the scenery is beautiful, especially as you head over that viaduct in particular. The wide shot there making these cars looking absolutely resplendent in the sunshine. Roach still keeping tabs here with Takuma Sasaki, not letting him have a lot of breathing room at all.
I was going to say on the circuit, I was going to sort of get my glasses on the analysts and say that I want this to be a grade 1 circuit with these cars. So there's not much one-off there. There's literally a cliff there.
Yeah.
If you get it wrong.
It's a rally stage.
Yeah. Luckily none of our guys testing whether the actual 2019 can fly or not. For now, anyway, Coco Lopez going from bad to worse for him. Looking down at that. 12th place, 4 seconds at the back. What do you do with Coco Lopez? I mean, he's our current Nations Cup leader. I've got a feeling he won't be after this race.
No, it's a very good opportunity for others to capitalise. Miyazono, Gallo, all within touching distance. Gallo on 7 points, Miyazono on 6 points, despite failing to score last time out in the second round of the championship in Prague. So we'll see whether he's able to take advantage of that. But like you say, Lopez needs a minor miracle at the moment. There is Adriano Carrazza sitting in 6th position for now. Kind of in no man's land really at the moment, because Jose Serrano is up ahead of him by about 1.7 seconds or so.
Yeah, so not much you can really do at the moment in that scenario. But Miyazono, 5 seconds to the lead now. Gallo's just been passed actually by Sasaki We just missed that on screen. I think it's just ahead of us right now using the 6th screen. So Gallo down to third place, Sasaki up into second, but Roach there as well. So these 3 cars really close for second place right now. And they need to be careful about this. We say this so often that obviously you're a racing driver, you want to be as high up the order as possible, but if you're squabbling every corner, you're just giving time away to the cars around you who are not doing that, who are driving on the ideal racing line, not having to brake earlier or later. So you have to really make sure the move is worth making before you make it.
Yeah, Miyazono putting an absolute cracker of a strategy at the moment so far. You can see there 5 seconds he's got in 5 laps or so he's putting a good chunk of time compared to the rest of the field. The question is, how much is he putting into his tyres? How long are they going to last? Of course, the mediums will be longer. They're a harder compound, relatively speaking. But of course, the converse with that is that they are slower over the course of 1 lap. So we'll see how that's going to pan out for Miyazono, or when those tyres will start to degrade to the point where they don't have any performance advantage over the medium shod runners. Just to give you an idea of how much quicker Miyazono was, last lap around a 1:27.159, Sasaki a 1:27.748, so about 6/10 of a second or so to the good of his compatriot. Let's have a look here at Sasaki versus Gallo then. So this is through the right-hander. Starfish straight, a big snap of oversteer there for Gallo.
Hit well together. That could have very easily been similar to what we've seen with Kylian Dumont all the way back in Montreal, where he spun it just coming out the corner. These cars, a lot of horsepower, over 800 brake horsepower in these cars, and these guys don't like running the TC, so imagine trying to control that every lap with tyres that are getting steadily worse, and you can see Gallo's problem. And to add to that, Callum Roach is now part of Gallo's problem as we come down to T1. That little kink there, I think, saves a lot of people into the first corner.
No doubt.
It turns it into a bit of a one-line corner, that. So this corner coming down here, T6 ahead, but no, isn't a one-line corner. Let's see if Callum Roach in front can do anything. On board Honda Serrano. Good viewing seats here for Honda Serrano, but going to be a bit higher right now. Although to his credit, seems to have the best tyre condition of all of the drivers around him on our information we have here. So just sprint to those medium tyres at the moment.
I'm loving this gyro-style cam that we've been using here in the GT World. So we've been using it for a good number of years. Have you noticed Formula 1 started using it?
Miyazono penalty.
Yeah, so that's happened there.
Must have been track limits somewhere. 1 second penalty. So he must have just taken a little bit too much out of one of the corners. Very easy to do that around here. Track limits very strict in these GT World Series events because, trust me, if there's an advantage to be had, well, these drivers are fine. And the series right on that. That 1 second penalty, that's not really a 1 second penalty though, is it, Tom?
No, because it's about 1.5 seconds. You lose all the time and the speed as a result of taking that penalty, because of course your car slows down to a set speed. So Miyazono, it's not put him on the back foot as such, he's still at a healthy margin, he'll still manage to retain the lead, but all of the advantage that he's built up, 5.5 seconds or so there and thereabouts, is just being washed away. Now let's have a look and see what happened here. So this will be one example of extended track limits. Oh, he just hit the wall on the outside there. And that will just, again, that'll be one example, because it's all awarded in the game. It's not done by the stewards one. So essentially they'll be accruing all these incidents over the course of it. So that's just, let's say, one example of it.
So strict, isn't it? I mean, these guys are the best in the world, so you expect that from them, but it can be very easy to make that mistake. And really definitely punished here for Miyazono. You can see there how we work our penalty system there. He crosses at the penalty line, the car has to slow down for a second and he's back on the gas again. So that time slowing down, that time speeding up, all takes away from the cars around. Still on board here with Honda Serrano, still in the same place as he was last lap. But again, just looking after those tyres, I think this is the sensible thing to do in this position. If the cars in front of you aren't that slow, moving at a good pace, just keep the tyres alive, stay within touching distance, maybe also save a bit of fuel. That's going to be a big part of this race here. There's going to be 35 litres or so of extra fuel needed for these guys over the course of the race distance. It's 3 seconds, 3 litres per second. Sorry, I did get it right.
It's going to take about 20 seconds to put the car there and thereabouts, or possibly a little bit more than that.
So if you can save 3 litres, you get yourself a 3 seconds.
Absolutely, which is night and day in the race.
Which is something that Miyazono just lost.
Yeah, exactly. So Miyazono is still equal. Look at those rear tyres. They are coming towards the end of their useful life. Indeed, he comes into the pit lane then at the end of lap 7. So we're going to have a new leader. It'll be Takuma Sasaki, followed by Valero Gallo. The question is, where does Miyazono emerge in relation to the rest of the field? Is he going to be right down plumb last? Or he's not going to be plumb last, is he? He's going to come out ahead of Dumont here. He'll slot back in theory into a nice little gap there to Takuma Miyazono. He's on the medium tyre, so he's not going to be a sitting duck compared to the medium shod runners behind him as well. So this will work out quite nicely for him, and he can just go and run his own race and just set the pace as he needs to. He out of the pit lane then at the start of lap 8, onto the medium tyres here for the former race leader.
I think that was quite clever. I think he took the penalty and went, okay, right, I've now lost a bit of time. Where am I going to come out? Okay, there's a nice big gap there. Let's go into that. Let's put the mediums on and let's just run, let's just say, on some nice, consistent laps. Here's what we think the tyre strategy. Throw that out the window. get rid of that. But just the hard tyre, it just doesn't seem to be viable in a lot of his races. It doesn't heat up quick enough, doesn't quite have that pace, and the longevity isn't worth it for the sprint races.
No, we did have a time when we had like a minimum tyre period where you had to run it for a minimum of 3 or 4 laps or something like that, but for reasons unbeknownst to myself, we're not doing that at the moment, so drivers just getting off the hard tyre as quickly as they possibly can. You can see Sasaki there just picking up a bit of dust into the face of Valerio Gallo, who had that warning sign, if you remember, a few laps ago. Meanwhile, right behind them, Kevin Roach and Jose Serrano very close to one another. Roach in 3rd place, but Serrano bearing down on the American driver as we come across the timing line. And Serrano looking to try and make a move on Roach in towards turn 2. He's got the inside line, he's on track position, but can he make the move stick? Roach gives him racing room. There's a little hint of contact going through turn 2. On the exit, they still continue to run side by side as they flick it through the left-hander. We're going to a right-hander before too long. Roach it is, but still in front. And Serrano, I don't think he's going to be there unless he's going to have a lunge to the inside. But it's still fairly early in this race to be making moves as rash as that.
Yeah, we've seen that trouble with that first corner. You just can't quite get alongside. To go at the inside for the hairpin, you need to go a long way around to get there. So you need a big overspeed. Serrano just about got there, but Roach's exit was good enough that he could just pull back ahead and stay in 3rd position for now. On board with Valerio Gallo, currently 2nd in our points standings. It's been a good last race out there, of course, taking the win at Prague. Will we see a repeat here at Tokyo and the Grand Valley circuit here? I don't know. I mean, he's done well so far. He's had that one moment, but again, he's doing what he sort of needs to do, just sort of staying where he needs to be, maybe saving a little bit of fuel. But we all know following a car in front can also reduce tyre wear. So here is the replay of Serrano's attempted Roach didn't quite come off him.
Yeah, had a look on the inside there. Roach gave him racing with fair play because he could have closed the line there. We could have ended up with the car possibly going off into the sea. But Roach just holding firm on the outside, knowing that the track will come to him a little bit later on around that corner, and so he holds on to 3rd place. Carranza's picked up a penalty as well, so presumably that must also be for track limits because we haven't seen stewards investigating anything at the moment. Meanwhile, Serrano there still sitting in 4th position. Carranza 1.8 seconds back of that. Seems to have become a little bit further back than that, which might see Nostroza able to take profit and move himself up into 5th.
I get the impression that both Roach and Gallo are getting just a little bit patient. I don't like that stat. I'm not a fan of that stat.
Is that because you're
it's because I'm very close to that myself, and I've got this stat up and whatever.
How's your back today? Is it alright?
I don't really think so.
Did it squeak when you woke up? Did you have to listen to WD-40 on it? What happens if you get old by time there?
Leave me alone.
Valerio Gallo it is at least. Look at the fuel consumption, by the way. We were mentioning about that a little bit earlier on. Miyazono led this race quite comfortably by a margin of about 4 seconds or so when he came in for his pit stop. He's only used a litre of fuel more than Takuma Sasaki, so it's working out quite nicely for him here so far.
Callum Roach, though, who we said has been quite quick, is really using quite a lot of fuel at the moment, so he needs to bring that down. And as I said earlier on, I reckon it's about 35 kilometres extra you're going to need to box score to complete this race distance. Look at the mirrors, you can see just behind there. There we go, Callum Roach there, large in the mirrors. Once again, when he goes for a move, he's going to stay there for now. I think he knows he's going to save that fuel. Big lift there from Callum Roach just to make sure that he can match his guys on fuel.
13 seconds it will take for that extra 35 litres to go into the tank. Just a bit of quick work. I know, I tell you what, it's like I listen to the briefings that we had before the start of this one. Jose Serrano now right on the back of Callum Roach once again. The top two trying to build a bit of a gap out to the likes of Roach and Serrano, just to give that bit of breathing space, really. It's important that they're able to run their own race and not get too much bother from behind. It's going to be a bit of a slow burner, this one, so once the strategies all begin to diverge and then they pick up a little bit later on, we'll see exactly how it is all going to play out. At the moment, Miyazono is doing an absolutely superlative job. What's his pace relative to the other medium shot runners? 27.6. That's pretty good. It's not the fastest, but it's okay, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in the ballpark. It's one of the quicker medium runners, but it's faster than the guys up front by a fair bit. So that's the one to keep an eye on, it seems. Because all the while Miyazono is lapping quicker than the cars that we're watching right now. When all the pit stops are said and done, that gap's going to come back to Callum Roach getting it a bit wrong there with the right hand. That will make these next set of corners even more difficult. Will be slow off this exit. Serrano might have a chance of just dipping a wheel there into that gravel on the outside. There ain't dipping in there a little bit though. You saw what happened to Callum when he tried it. Almost lost the car. Through the tunnel then, and then back out into the sunshine as we go on to lap 12 of 27. Serrano here in the toe of Callum Roach. Will he lift? Let's have a look. No, he's going for it. He thinks he's a bit quicker than the cars in front. He's going to try and go for the move now. Yeah, forced it this time. Late on the brakes. Comes back across the front of Callum Roach. Forced him to slow down. Oh, but a little bit of oversteer on exit, but I think he's still got the move made.
Yeah, that's the beauty of that corner, is it can just give you an opportunity to live another day, as it were. Roach is not going to take this one lying down, though. He might try and send it back from the inside into the hairpin. Nope, Serrano's got it covered off for now, so Roach is going to have to think about it a little bit later on in the lap. The thing is, though, look at what that's done. It's only one overtake, but the gap it's built for Gallo is up to 1.2 seconds or so, from about 6 tenths of a second, so it's doubled just as a result of that one manoeuvre.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Valero Gallo right now, I am P2 in the standings. My main rival is currently last and not going to score any points. And Miyazono, I guess now, will be the closest in the standings to him, seemingly out front. Just take it easy, I think, at this point, because whatever happens, the gap going into the grand final isn't, into the world final, isn't going to be big enough that it can be comfortable. So I think just take it easy for now, Valerio. Save that little bit of fuel. Think about the long race here, as I think he is doing, and no more silly mistakes. Sometimes the mistakes creep in for Valerio. He's under pressure.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he's wise to that one. Miyazono's been able to bring the gap down to Adriano Carazza to about 2 seconds or so. So these medium tyres, again, now coming towards the end of where they need to be. So that means that they're going to be coming into the pits before too long. Lap 13 out of 27 we are, and you can see just how much Miyazono picked off of Takumi Sasaki in terms of the lap time difference. 3 tenths of a second on lap 10, nearly a second on lap 11, and that gap is going to just increase over the next couple of laps or so, depending on when Sasaki decides to come into the box.
Yeah, I mean, like every lap, it's 6 tenths average there between all those. So really is getting on now. It's Takumi Miyazono. He's got to do this. This is the stint, the important stint for him. Whenever you have clear track in front of you, you've got to push into that gap. You've got to really use a tyre when you can. Sasaki, I get the impression he is trying hard, but the tyres are just starting to fall away from him now. Those rear tyres are getting to the point where they're going to start being, basically, you start sliding, they heat up more, you slide more, and it's just you just tumble down the well from there. You know?
So put a bit of flesh on the bones for me, Jimmy. If you're Takumi Miyazono, you've got to get yourself into that zone. How do you not let the pressure come to you as a driver?
I mean, to be honest, it's quite easy when you have no one around you. You just go, right, okay, I know how to drive this circuit. I know my braking points. I know the speed I have. Let yourself get into that rhythm. I mean, I know there's a big crowd behind you. I know you can hear the commentary as you're in the event as well, but you've got a set of very good headphones on. Just focus on what you're doing. You can't control anyone else, and you control what you're doing. And Miyazono is so good at that. So we'll keep an eye on him. We'll keep an eye on how he progresses. Sasaki, of course, still out, still not boxing. Carazza opting to come into the pit lane as he destroys it. What I suspect is the track limit penalty a bit wide there for Sasaki. That would have slowed both him and Gallo up somewhat. That time-wise, Sasaki just did a 28.3, which compared to Miyazono on his last lap, he did a 27.2.
So Gallo will ride on board with then. Sasaki at the warning sign a handful of corners ago. That snap of oversteer, and those snaps of oversteer might not sound like a lot, but they can prove to be very detrimental to the race, especially if you allow the competitor that's chasing you to get through. You can just how committed these drivers are having to be going through this series of corners as well, going through the daylight into the tunnel and then back into the daylight once more as we head through the final sector. This circuit full of undulation, full of lots of twists and turns, and a lot of medium speed corners as well. And you can see there that, again, just going off the curve on the outside, that's a great opportunity for the rear to snap away from you, especially because you're tired, get that all more worn. In terms of the lap times, Miyazono last time around 27.2, Sasaki a 28.3, so Miyazono really in the groove at the moment, and crucially a lot faster than the medium shot runners who have not risen yet in front of him. So we'll wait to see how long it's going to be before these drivers blink. Because I think as soon as Sasaki blinks, the rest of the drivers are going to follow suit, because they want to try and stay as close as they can. They decide not to at the end of lap 14.
Still going round for that. Still looking pretty similar. The top three, the bit of housekeeping. Robbie Heck, long way off the back of the field. Not quite sure what happened to him. I think he's probably taking his fuel now and is just hoping he can drive into a gap. But he is actually not too far ahead of this little pack here. He might end up being lapped, which disaster, of course, for Robbie Heck. This event definitely not going as well.
No, Robbie Heck with a fair bit of work to do. Like you say, he has taken fuel, no doubt about that, but 40 seconds off the back of the rest of the field. Something of a quiet race for him so far. So 72 seconds, 72 litres of fuel he's got on board, so he definitely has taken that fuel on board compared to the rest of the field. But this is interesting as well, because it kind of forces the hand, actually, of the top five, because they will need to take fuel, I'm sure, the next time around, unless they're going to do the hard tyres and just do that one lap in the middle of the race.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I'm not sure how you want to do it that way, but we'll see what the drivers come up with. We are now past midway in this race. Watching Jose Serrano, of course, Nations Cup champion as part of Team Spain in 2023. This year hasn't quite had that same fire. He's been fast, but he's not quite been someone who's been in contention for the win, I think it's fair to say this year.
It's really easy, isn't it, for things like this, the snowballs, where you start off on the wrong foot and suddenly it just gets worse and worse. And for the drivers as well, I'm not just talking about the events. Now we do see the pit stops coming in. So the top two go in, but Serrano thinks he's got enough life left in his tyres to go for one more lap. So he's going to try the overcut, the rest of the field trying the undercut. Seemingly, Sasaki, Gallo, Roach and Inestrosa all in the box. Just finishing my earlier thought, it's easy for things to snowball. And if you start off on the wrong foot, your swim race doesn't work out well. It can really, again, put you on the back foot for the grand final. Look at Coque Lopez as a prime example of that. He's made no inroads, no impression so far in this race. Now, a divergence in tyres here as well. So Saki has gone to the hard tyres, but he's taking no fuel on board. Likewise, Inestrosa as well. But you can see the soft shot runners are putting fuel on board and they're putting the soft tyres on. So they are going to have to put the hard tyres on what presumably will be the final lap of the race.
I think the idea maybe is just to try and run that hard in the best possible situation, so low fuel and not much distance. But we'll see. There you go, refueling rate, the one that I couldn't quite say properly earlier, it's 3 litres a second, so every 3 litres in the car you're stationary for 1 second, and it means that you have to really think about your fuel saving strategy around here, be it just lifting and coasting a little bit, maybe not revving as much down the straight, or even turning the fuel mix down in car, all things you can do as a driver to control that rate of fuel.
Quite a race so far for Kylian Drumont. Was expecting a little bit more from the Frenchman, actually. I think he'd have been expecting a bit more of his season up to now as well. Didn't get managed to score in Montreal. Got a handful of points on the board in Prague, but we know that he's got the pace to be a world champion. We know he's got the talent to do it as well, but this season proving to be an uphill struggle for the young Frenchman as Serrano comes into the box at the end of lap 16.
Yeah, I think Drumont, I mean, he's very much everything or nothing. You'll get a win or you'll get a DNF from Kylian Drumont, which, to be fair, you know, Conor McRae's
win it or bin it.
It works okay, but there's a reason why he only won the WRC once, isn't there? So there you go. But Serrano at the pits on that hard compound tyre, not opting for fuel, so he's going for the right. I'm going to go out, use this hard tyre with as less fuel as possible and just try and get around quickly and then come into that stop after.
Look at the advantage Miazono's got here now as well. He now leads at the race after having pitted and done the divergence and strategy, but he's got 9, nearly 10 seconds of an advantage over Kylian Drumont. Don't forget to vote for your Michelin driver of the day after the race. During the extra lap press conference is when we will be announcing that. Kind of Brun here on Serrano, going for a move on the inside. That's a lunge from the Dutchman. Gets it done quite nicely and moves up into 4th position.
Now, again, to the benefit of Kai, he is +8 so far in this race. I mean, he has used the harder medium, so he's got the soft tyre to come as kind of ball. So this could be a good run for Kai. I mean, we know Miazono and Drumont both have to go on to Miazono has to go on to the hard tyre or something. So it maybe isn't quite over yet.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? These divergence and strategies. We saw it in the Manufacturers' Cup a couple of hours ago, where drivers will go onto the soft tyre at the end of the race, and that means they're inherently that much quicker. So this could prove to be a very exciting strategy here for Kai de Bruyne. 9.5 laps to go. We'll keep an eye on what is going to happen here for the Dutchman, because as Jimmy said, he's made a brilliant ascension through the field, a nice quiet race for him, and a podium finish would not be an unwelcome sight at all, especially given where he was in that sprint race about half an hour or so ago now, because he deserves a podium this time. We know he's got good pace. You've seen it over the course of the last couple of years or so. Comes into the pit lane then with 8 litres of fuel left on board. Drumont also into the box as well. The Frenchman here could be on for a strong result, quite possibly too. And Coque Lopez likewise coming in as well. You wonder where it's all gone wrong for the Spaniard. It's not proven to be a particularly fortuitous race. So Drummond and De Bruyne in. They'll be taking fuel on board at this stage as well. Crucially, Drummond having to take about 3 fewer litres compared to De Bruyne there as well. So his pit stop will be shorter by a handful of seconds.
That is that's a long time for those softs to last. That's 9 laps. And we've seen that the furthest it's been taken so far was probably 8 laps, and they were pretty knackered at the end of that. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be it's having to go. Why not? You've got to have to go. There you go. There's the advantage of sorting your fuel out. So Rano out ahead of Kyle De Bruyne, and Kylian Drummond up the road from both of them. Yeah, De Bruyne losing 2 places there as a result of that longer fuel stop, essentially. So Drummond's now a good, comfortable cushion actually of about 25 seconds or so compared to Callum Roach in front of him. So he can just drive his own race at the moment. Roach and all the field in front of him owe another pit stop in this race. So let's see what happens here for Kylian Drummond. Has he pulled a bit of a blinder to get himself into podium contention in the latter stages of this race? At the moment, it's still Miyazono that leads by some 12 seconds. I think the victory for the likes of Drummond and Serrano, etc., are going to be that step too far. But as Sasaki comes into the pit lane with 8 litres of fuel and Barbara with 2 litres of fuel, they make their final stops, seemingly, in this race. Now, where does Sasaki go? Does he decide to go over for the soft tyre? Surely has to, yeah, because everyone else around is doing on the soft tyre, and it will be 1 lap pressure compared to those who pitted last time around as well. I was going to say, I wonder what happened to Valerio Gallo, but he took fuel earlier in the race, so he's got a full he's got fuel to the end now, whereas Carrazza and Miyazono both need to pit for pretty much a full tank. So let's see when Gallo actually comes out here. So Gallo's going to be quite competitive with his drivers around him once Miyazono boxes. Sasaki coming onto that soft compounder tyre and now leaving the pit lane. Does he come out ahead of this little train behind him to be absolutely he needs that? No, he doesn't. Behind Serrano, and not just about coming out ahead of Kyle De Bruyne, but Sasaki back into the pack now. So you're seeing what the lack of fuel saving has done. Even though Sasaki led most of the start of this race here after Miyazono boxed, that was it. He didn't quite save the fuel in the right way, and now he's back in the pack again.
Well, it's proven to be a bit costly for some drivers here, this fuel strategy. So Drummond there in 5th position, Serrano and Sasaki not too far adrift. Now Miyazono into the pits. Oh, look at that for a fuel strategy. 1 litre left. You can't cut it any finer than that. If there's a man who knows how to eke the maximum out of his car, it is Takuma Miyazono. And don't think that he was slow last time around as well. He was at 27.6 across the line. So it's not like he's been doing massive fuel saving. He's just timed it really well.
Yeah, I mean, looks that hard compounder tyre now. Now here's the agonising part of the drive. You just have to wait for this fuel to go in. Now Gallo has gone up into the lead, into 2nd place. Carrazza in the lead right now. Carrazza's got to come in at some point. He hasn't got enough fuel to get to the end. So think about the equation.
Yeah, and Gallo's also got to serve the pit stop because he owes a hard compounder tyre, doesn't he?
But what's the gap, I think, to Miyazono? That is the big question.
Well, Miyazono's surely going to come in because he's not going to finish the rest of this race 7 laps on the hard tyre. That would be very detrimental. In comparison to everybody else, the longest that we've seen on the hard tyre to date is 3 laps, and it's about 1.7 seconds a lap slower. So I'm sure that Miyazono's going to do 1 and done.
Sure not, because that's going to give the race away doing that.
Well, unless he wants to have more pace at the end. But a hard tyre for 7 laps, that's a risky strategy. But he had to come in because he needed fuel. He had no choice, did he?
That's not worked out very well for Miyazono. I think he's made a mistake there, if I'm honest. If you come in again now, you're giving away, I don't know, 15 seconds.
But then the converse is that you'll have more pace at the end of the race, but you've got to make those positions up. You've got to gain that time back, essentially. Kyle De Bruyne picks up a 1-second penalty for a collision then. So that's unfortunately going to put paid to any possible podium results for the Dutchman, I'm afraid. So, Carrazza is that leads then. Let's try and work out this one.
Look at this.
So Carrazza leads. He owes another compound of tyre. How much fuel has he got on board? Not enough. He's got 6 litres. He's going to come in at the end of this one. You can forget about him. Gallo's already taken fuel. He owes another pit stop because he hasn't run the hard compound of tyre. Here is De Bruyne about to serve his penalty, by the way, and allows Sasaki to go through into 7th position. And then further down the order, you've got Callum Roach, again, owes another pit stop, owes the hard compound of tyre, has got fuel on board. Miyazono on the hard tyre. To the end of this one, over the course of 7 laps, he's going to be right up against it if that is indeed his strategy. If he's going to go to the end of this race on the hard compound of tyre, he's going to be hemorrhaging time. But of course, he's got that in his back pocket for now. It just depends on what happens with everybody else once they have all sorted their strategies out.
Well, I was going to say, I feel like this race is sort of coming to Valerio Gallo at the moment, from what I can see on him and Cameron Roach looking very fast. I just don't think that being on that hard time, I mean, we'll check out Miyazono's lap times, but I just don't think he's going to be able to compete with those on the soft around him. I mean, we are going to see Gallo and Roach and the like come in for that hard time. They have to use that at some point. But it's going to be fresher, and they're going to have similar fuel, and the gap is always growing at the moment. So it basically depends on how long Gallo can stay out on this soft tyre, and how long he can keep the pace up at the 26.
So looking to Broom here with Sasaki. So this is the penalty that he picked up. He goes up the inside of Sasaki. Pushes him wide a little bit onto there, and then there's a smashing of contact as Sasaki rejoins. Tries to close the door a little bit, and well, there we go. Right, so Carrazza's in, no fuel left on board, 0 litres. That, well,
Sad, isn't it?
yeah, that there's as close as you like, and then there's running on fumes. I reckon that you probably had to coast the last couple of metres for that one. Serrano's picked up another penalty here of a second as well due to track limits.
I'm keeping an eye on the lap time that's giving me his other. This is really important now. Gallo still has a good bit of tyre life left. I think he can take these tyres maybe a couple more laps. I've seen 8 laps out of some of the cars so far. You might even see 9 if that tyre can go that far.
So what Gallo needs to do here is he needs to drive as fast as he possibly can, but the problem is that he owes that hard compound tyre. He needs to build up that gap so that when he takes that final pit stop, he's got that cushion in his pocket if Miyazono's going to stay out on the hard compound tyre. There's a lot of ebbing and flowing to go in this race, and you can see the difference in tyre compounds here and how important that is. Look at that. Drumont last time around, he's on the soft tyre, Miyazono's on the hard. 2.1 seconds. That's a fortnight around here.
And that's something else as well. Drumont catches Miyazono, and there's no defending against that sort of lap time differential. You're going to just drive by the guy at that point. I really think this has all come undone for Miyazono. I think what happens, he just misjudged the fuel and got to the point where he had to change tyres coming in, and he didn't get to use all the medium stint tyre. I mean, for example, people ran that medium tyre 15 to 17 laps. He only did 12 before he boxed, so he lost out on 5-6 laps of that medium speed.
Well, if he's bothered about it, he's not letting his facial expressions show.
No, he's not.
When does he ever, to be fair? So lap 22 out of 27 we're on then. It's Gallo that leads, Roach in second. Roach again still owes that hard compound of tyre, but has the same fuel as Valerio Gallo. So that is a de facto position there for Callum Roach as it stands for now, because he's in exactly the same position, exactly the same strategy. Of course, he's got 5.5 seconds, 5.9 seconds now as a matter of fact, to Valerio Gallo. So once it all pays out, I reckon that Roach will probably drop down to third, maybe fourth position here. So Drumont is closing.
Drumont's going to be the one to look out for. Drumont is really fast right now, but we do know that soft compound has got to go all the way to the end, so it's going to be a bit of a struggle for Killian Drumont, but he's got the pace. Watch out for the Frenchman. I think maybe he's becoming a contender here. In a really good middle stint, which put him in the position he's in now, but he does have the caveat that he's got Takuma Miyazono ahead now, who does not have to stop again. He's not going to just let you by. He's going to defend that position for his life. And same for Drumont. These guys don't have to stop. Roach and Gallo do need to stop, and both are going to that line. Look at that lap differential there. 2 seconds, 1.7 seconds.
This is the end of this lap.
Yeah,
surely.
he'll be there.
There's nothing that Miyazono is going to be able to do here. Drumont's just going to go driving on by. So I said about the fuel strategy and Miyazono eking it out as long as he possibly could, and that could prove to be to his undoing here, because Miyazono significantly slower than Drumont, who's got the carrot very well and truly dangled in front of him for a potential race victory, or at least a podium here this afternoon. And don't forget, of course, points all the way down to 6th place and the World Finals to come at the start of December. So every position is going to be absolutely critical. Through the chicane we go, on towards the start-finish straight, and this is going to be like taking candy from a baby for Drumont versus Miyazono, because there's going to be nothing that the Japanese driver is going to be able to do. So through the tunnel and bursting into the daylight, Drumont in the slipstream then here. I don't think he's going to make it into turn 2, but he's certainly closing. Kingslow left, and Miyazono's going to park the car on the middle, and unless Drumont can send it down the inside, which he can't, Miyazono parks it on the outside, but it's the exit of this corner where Drumont will have greater traction underneath him, and he may be able to set something up into the next right-handed hairpin. He's in the slipstream here of Miyazono, and he's surely going to be launching a move for the inside for third position. Down into the right-hander we go, and Drumont gets the better of Takuma Miyazono and moves up into third place. How critical is that going to be for the Frenchman?
Yeah, I think that was something that Miyazono was a bit clever letting that happen. I think he knows that he can't defend right now. When you're on that hard compound tyre, it's not a reflection of the driver's skill. You just don't have the grip, which means you can't get out of the corners as fast, you can't brake as well, you can't use the high-speed grip as well. So you just find yourself managing, which is why the drivers all try and get off the hard tyre as soon as possible. And why we were so surprised to see him try and take it so long, he's got to take it to the end still from here. So what we're watching now is when will Gallo, when will Roach be, I assume fairly soon, just because those tyres are soft tyres, Roach into the pit lane. Okay, this will be a good indicator of where Dumont is in relation to Gallo, who's opted for another lap.
But Gallo's tyres are more worn than Roach's.
And the times are, well, they're not there, 28.3. Dumont is really becoming a contender now.
Yeah, Dumont could be in for the victory then here this afternoon in the grand final in Tokyo. Well, he said if in doubt, flat out, win it or bin it style. And it's not been a particularly fortuitous season so far for the young Frenchman, but it is coming to him absolutely handsomely here. Finished on the podium last time out in Prague with 5 points on the board. He could be set to take a maximum of 6 here today as well. And Miyazono's race still continues to unravel because Serrano is now right on the back of him as well.
Roach comes out in P7, so I think the pit stop slightly longer than we anticipated there for Callum Roach, which by my math means that I don't think Gallo's got the gap he needs.
I thought it's 25 seconds. That's going to be tight though, isn't it? It depends on how much fuel he's got on board. It's about the same, isn't it? He's not going to take any fuel, so that's fine. Okay, right, so Callow then, this is going to come down to the pit stops then here for the victory of this race. There is Kadeem Drumont just up the road in the blue X2019, but Serrano is again putting the pressure onto the back of Takuma Miyazono, who's in no man's land. He's got no answer to this one, and his race has come well and truly unravelled owing to a fuel miscalculation seemingly for him. Gallo into the pits then, 12 litres of fuel left, 2 laps of the race left. He'll make it to the end of that one, but he's going to be on the slowest, harder compound of tyre towards the end of this one, whereas Drumont is going to be on the soft compound of tyre, quicker over the course of this race. And Serrano still continues to pile the pressure onto the back of Takuma Miyazono for that final podium place here.
So where is Kylian Drumont going down the straight now, coming over the start-finish line? Gallo there waiting in the pit lane, it must be like an eternity, and up into the lead goes Kylian Drumont. Down there, oh, he's down to 4th place there, so hasn't done enough there to maintain the position. Miyazono battling with Jose Serrano, but can't quite keep the place. Serrano up a second. Dumont from seemingly nowhere, 9 positions he's gained this race, and is now leading with just under 2 laps to go.
He's done exactly what Jorge Lopez wanted to do in Prague, coming from pretty much the back of the field up into the lead of the race, and this has been a quite brilliant strategy with just 2 laps remaining, and he's now got the quickest compound of tyres, fresh tyres, underneath him, and it could be bad to worse if it's Takuma Miyazono, because Gallo, Sasaki, Atal are all very close behind, so the podium is very much under threat here for the Japanese driver, who drove a brilliant first stint of this race, but it is coming unravelled to the extreme, and you can see Sasaki piling the pressure onto the back of Gallo. Soft tyres for Sasaki, hard tyres here for Valerio Gallo, and is there anything the Italian is going to be able to do to hold off the charge of the Japanese driver? Over the viaduct we go, into the tunnel. Sasaki's going to have more grip going into the right-hander, but there's no track position there, but Gallo's a little bit wide, there's a bit of contact, the door is open there for Sasaki, but we flick it left, and Gallo can just live to fight another day as we come onto the start-finish straight. Wide there for Gallo. Sasaki sniffs the opportunity and is ready to try and take advantage of it. He's trying every which way he can, but Gallo's defending the line through there. Into the right-hander we go, onto the start-finish straight. Sasaki's got the slipstream. He's going to have track position, and he's going to get 4th place here. Gallo squeezes him towards the pit wall, but Sasaki goes, thanks very much, and he's up into 4th at the start of the final lap.
Yeah, good attempt there from Gallo to keep that place, but you just can't defend from that straight line speed differential, or can he? Gallo having another go at Sasaki. Kind of Bruins back in the mix after serving that penalty, so it's not over for Gallo yet. Miyazono still somehow holding on to Dumont, putting away out front. What a fairy tale story for the Frenchman.
And the thing is with Miyazono, this could come to his aid because Serrano's on soft tyres, but they're 10 laps old. they're absolutely clapped out. That's the problem, though, is the soft tyres are now beginning to fall off a cliff. Look at the rear tyres here for Drumont and Serrano. 17-18%. We've only got 1 lap remaining, so it's still not possibly out of the question here for Takuma Miyazono to get second. Is the victory still within his grasp, though? There is Kylian Drumont, and the gap is shrinking down. A 28 flat for him. Miyazono last time around a 28.4, but Miyazono still on the back of Serrano. He needs to dispatch him as soon as he possibly can. I think the victory's going to be out of the question, but second place could be on the cards at crucial points going into the World Finals as well. If he can find his way through up the inside, it's going to be a tall order, but Kylian Drumont, though, has timed this one to absolute perfection. What a drive and what a strategy for the young Frenchman as he comes through the tunnel for the final time. Kylian Drumont takes his first victory of the season in the Gran Turismo World Series. The Frenchman is on top in Tokyo. It's Jose Serrano in second. Miyazono takes third. Gallo in fourth, just by 200ths of a second from Takuma Sasaki in fifth, and De Bruyne right close behind as well. What a race, what a strategy, what a finish, and what a drive from the young Frenchman Kylian Drumont. Well, the cream always rises to the top eventually, and Kylian Drumont, they always say form is temporary and class is permanent. That was a masterclass from the youngster.